Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Aged Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli.
Hello, hello.
Tonight we are. This will not be a news stream tonight. We are going to be talking about the terrible objectification of Kirby, the Nintendo character, over the years, and him being used as for sexual objectification. I'm not appreciative of it. We're going to go into details about that tonight. I'm kidding, of course. Okay.
Well, Kirby sucks and blows.
Okay. Anyways, let's say hi to the chat. We have plenty of news.
Hi to the
Don't
chat.
worry. Melissa Harrison's son, Melissa Harris Jake, aka Melissa Harrison's 4.0, Netters
Yep.
Network. Hello. Hi, sweetie. Thank you very much. Horizon Talker. Hello, the
Yep.
chat. Gonna miss another one of these
Oh,
as I got commitments. But I left you a
come
thumbs
on.
up.
What's up with. Yeah, Netter says hello. Um,
What do you mean commitments?
I don't know. Priorities, guys. Priorities. What's wrong with y'all?
Commitment. You know what?
But
You're off trying to sneak a watch of that Cowboy Bebop show, the new one. I know that's what you're doing.
well, I know that I know that Overlord DVD is streaming, and who knows who else is streaming
No, it's
tonight.
fine. Probably family commitments. Okay, it's fine.
Renegade Junior has a live game stream going right now. So
Who's he? Do I know him?
Valiant Renegade's son.
Oh, okay. All right. Gotcha. Zootopia, welcome. Chris P, great to see you.
Did you
Let's
say
see
Joshua
here.
V?
Joshua V, I didn't, but thank you. Big Al.
And Big
hello.
L presents.
Copies of Grease 2 novel. Running $40 to $120, girl. You know, I have to say, those novelizations are interesting.
We were talking about that last night. Yeah.
Because they used to do novelizations of a lot of those slasher horror movies, and sometimes they'd have completely different stories. Like
Yeah.
one of my favorite slashers is the Funhouse. Okay, but there is a apparently there's a novelization, and I'm just reading the synopsis. It's like completely different. I actually want to read it, to see
Yeah.
how is this related to the movie or is it? But
Well,
sadly these things disappear.
I want to say I'm not sure if it was Script Doctor or somebody who was a contributor over on Midnight's Edge was talking about the. I'm pretty sure it was Script Doctor, who was talking about the novelization for the Flash Gordon film from the 80s. And he said there is a lot of really good story in there that is nowhere in the movie. It's totally worth looking for. But not only is that book out of print, but it goes for well over $120 each.
It's
because
weird.
it's out of print.
It's funny. Quentin Tarantino was talking about that. He's right. He wrote a novelization of his own movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood because he says I want movie novelizations to come back. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what he says because he says he used to read them when he was a kid. So, Sarah says Netflix Cowboy Bebop intro looks like CW Titans TV show level garbage. I have to say I might disagree with you there. I did see the intro. I'm not saying the show is going to be any good. I still have a lot of reservations about that show, but the intro, I don't know. It kind of looked like the anime brought to life. It had all those scenes. Of course, maybe I'm going to be called a poser now by people in the chat. I'm not saying the show is going to be good or that I even want to watch. I'm just saying the intro. Maybe it was the Yoko Kanno music. That music's important. Okay, but
Yeah.
what I want to make a point though. Daniel Herron got me some movie novelizations. He got me the Omen movie novelization.
Yeah.
The Omen. Ever hear of it?
Mhm.
Or he's going to be sending it to me. I think. Yeah.
I've read all of those books.
The Omen books.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Are they better than the movies? Because I have to tell you, the final conflict, there wasn't much conflict in it. And
The Final Conflict was an excellent book. Yeah. I
Okay,
read
is
the
the book
book
better?
before I saw the movie.
because I see the movie and it's all this stupid stuff. Oh, I have to kill the firstborn. And no. It's I'm Damien Thorne, and it's World War III is happening. Okay.
Well, what they were
that's
going
it's
for
been.
there was a kind of role reversal thing on the Herod.
I
know.
understand that, and I understand that, but it's and that might have been all right as an element, but I was expecting, like they had set things up in the second movie where like Damien, it looks like he's being sent to a children's version of the Citadel or something, like he's getting military training. He could end up becoming a general or someone important one day just from his military expertise. And then the company that the company that he's about to inherit, that the Thorne family owns, the one guy was like, William Holden's like, oh, I don't know, or he was like, they're going to control most of the. We'll end up with this new technology. We'll end up controlling most of the world's food supply. You understand? Oh, don't worry about it. It's like it's all being set up. You
So
understand?
what you're saying is that basically this is a series of books and movies about what actually has ended up happening.
Well, my point is this. Yeah, if you're going by the prophecy and Revelations apocalypse, that's what it's going to be. It's Mark of the Beast and all that stuff, right? Okay,
Yeah.
and that seemed like they were setting it up, and then we get to the last one, and I love Sam Neill, but he was a great casting choice, actually. And if it was like another movie on his road to taking over the world or becoming the world leader, that's fine. But then they just end it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if it had been a progression movie like the other two, that would have been okay, and I would have.
There was an Omen 4. It was a made-for-TV. I think it was a miniseries.
I have it because it came in my Omen set from Shout Factory.
Mm-hmm.
I've yet to watch it. There was an Amityville Horror 4.
There was more than that. There was a lot of Amityville films.
It's in one of the local libraries in my area. I have to maybe check that out to see if it holds up to the first 3. I think Patty Duke's in it.
I gotta say the second Amityville film was my favorite, but not for any good reasons.
Okay, probably for bad reasons. Okay,
for very bad reasons.
Okay. Anyways, what was I gonna say? I'm sorry. Now I'm thinking about. Okay, wait a minute though. Patty Duke though, she was in Whatever Happened to Rosemary's Baby.
Okay.
The made-for-TV sequel to Rosemary's Baby.
Right.
Because they couldn't get Mia Farrow for that, so they had Patty Duke in the replacement role.
Sure.
For that part, it's so bad. It's such a bad film. Anyway, what are we talking about here? We got you didn't ask me what I'm sipping on.
What are you sipping on?
I have a Peace Tea, Just Peachy Tea.
That sounds like a hippie drink to me.
Well, there's a hand with a peach in the palm, and they're making the peace sign. It probably is.
Yeah, hippie drink.
Come on, man, let loose.
Come on, man.
Last week of September, okay?
The thing. Come on, man.
The thing, man. Well, that was when he would at least answer questions, but those days are long gone. Anyway.
Well, no, because then it was. I'll answer, Nancy, if that's what you want. Am I supposed to answer questions now? Everything goes black. Now he doesn't even get to say that.
Yeah. Oh, Joshua V's talking about certain casting announcements. We'll get to that, Joshua V. Okay. All right. So, should we talk about the good old days?
Tell me about the good old days.
And we were thinking about talking about memories of McDonald's.
Yeah, this might be a controversial, good old days maybe for some people. I used to love I still do like McDonald's, but
right.
Their whole market to kids, which has come under fire in recent years, I have fond memories of, to be honest with you. Their play world or whatever with the what do you call it? The monkey bars and stuff inside the play area at McDonald's.
Oh yeah.
And all the different McDonald's characters, the commercials, which of course ended up getting him into a lawsuit with HR Puff and stuff because it was clearly ripped off. But,
like Grimace and the Hamburglar and all those other
all of those characters.
Was Birdie a character? That was a character, Birdie, I think. And,
something like that. Yeah,
I don't know. And
the Fry Guys.
Fry Guys. I used to think that what was it like? A Grimace was a Muppet from Sesame Street.
Kind of came off that way, yeah. But no, he was definitely inspired. And in all fairness, I mean, it was the same people that worked for HR Puff and stuff that was licensed by McDonald's, so they were kind of stealing from themselves, but it gets into a whole intellectual property thing. We'll get more into that kind of intellectual property stuff later in the stream when we get to that news article, but for right now, I'd still say that the whole concept behind the lore of McDonald Land and, Mayor McCheese and all that, I kind of really enjoyed that as a kid. And didn't you say that you went to McDonald's, birthday party for some friend of
I
yours?
went to one, and that was interesting because, of course, I was a kid, and I think I was nervous because I placed my order and I wanted a hamburger Happy Meal, not a cheeseburger Happy Meal, because everyone has something. For me, it's certain types of cheeses. I don't care for them. It's fine if you do. I'm not no
Yeah.
judgments. I'm just saying. But of course, they got my order right because they knew what they were doing, and we each got a Happy Meal, and we got. You know what I always liked about this? Another dumb. I used to like those little bags that you'd get at some of these birthday parties. Even though you brought a gift, they'd still give you something in return, like little
Yeah.
fun, smaller toys and stuff. That was
Sure.
always fun. But I remember. I think I got a rubber dinosaur at that party. I got a Stegosaurus. I remember now.
Wow.
And yeah, no, it was fun. What they do is you have all the kids. I think Ronald McDonald, does he show up? I believe. I think he did. I think you also get to go to the back. They show you how where they cook the food and everything in the back. And it's fun. The kids. I think you usually have a cake too. I don't know. I don't know if the cake was McDonald's themed or not. I don't know if or maybe it wasn't. Never mind. Okay.
Don't know, but still, that's all some pretty good stuff. And look, that was back in the day when that kind of stuff was considered to be,
A dinosaur.
oh yeah. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and jump on camera real quick. Let me show this to you.
Jump on camera.
Netter brought out. Give me a second. Let me see. How do I do this? I got to change over to. Yeah, start the camera. Netter has this this toy. It's a baggy toy from a Happy Meal. It's a dinosaur puppet. I don't know if you could see that. Yeah, it's kind of squooshed a little bit, but yeah, it's a hand puppet of a dinosaur that Nanette has. And as long as I'm on camera, let me real quick show you. Nanette got for me some time ago. Completely unused.
What is it?
The boxes from the motion Star Trek the motion picture Happy Meals. Every single one of them.
Oh, neat.
Yep.
Oh, that was so cool. Let me tell you something, kids. Okay, out there. Okay, you younglings in the chat. Okay. I'm nothing against modern McDonald's or the kids' Happy Meals they have there now, but back in the day, it wasn't all Disney,
Right.
I think they made a deal with Disney, and now we're stuck. If there's ever a new Disney movie release, of course, it's going to get the McDonald's. It's all very predictable.
Sure.
Back then, not as much, okay? It could be anything under the sun could come in a Happy Meal. Do you understand? Okay.
Yep.
I remember this was when I was a teenager, when I'm way too old for Happy Meals, and they had Batman the Animated Series Happy Meals. Get me a Batman the Animated Series Happy Meal. We're on a road trip. No one's gonna know it was me doing this, So I got a little poison ivy car where she has like a Venus flytrap on front, ready to eat you. Which never mind.
No,
okay,
yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
But anyway,
no, the only thing that I can figure is they got cheap and lazy, because these boxes would fold out. They were really nifty. They had these activities on the sides and on the back and whatnot.
With the Batman, you could actually turn it into like a tunnel for the car to ride through.
Right. There was a lot of things that were like that, that kind of went along with the toys. But now it's just a paper bag, that says Happy Meal on it. And it's like, well, that's boring as all shit.
And if you're unlucky, you get apple slices. I'm sorry, no, nothing against apple slices. Apple slices are fine. Anyway.
But yeah, and I realized that I misremembered the toys that came with the motion picture Happy Meal, because I remembered this this fold up, punch out, fold up mobile of the Klingon D7 and the Vulcan shuttle and the Enterprise that you could, assemble and fold together and stuff and hang up. But it turns out that was not related to McDonald's. That was a completely separate mail away that
Really?
that they had. The toy that came with, or toy in quotes, that came with the Star Trek Happy Meal was this plastic thing that kind of looked like the communicator, that had little gears on either side, and it would open up and you would fit into it a comic strip. And then you'd turn the little gear and you'd read the comic strip as it would go by on the communicator. And you get a different comic strip with each one of the Happy Meals.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah. And then like later on for Star Trek, what was the one with
Star Trek 2? No?
No, Star Trek 5. They had the marshmallow dispenser. You know, the thing where you'd put 3 marshmallows into it and then you'd slide them up one at a time, just like the marshmallow thing that they had in Star Trek 5.
Oh, you're kidding. Oh, okay. Well, I was that McDonald's related?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I don't even remember at the time. Of course I was so. Let's not get started on Star Trek 5 memories. That'll be a not good. Okay, we'll table that. But I remember someone telling me that there was a Star Trek 2 Happy Meal that came out. I don't know if that's true. And it had little models of the ships in them, and like one was the Reliant, one was the Enterprise. Does this ring a bell to you at all? Okay. I don't know though, but someone else was bringing up the Batman promotions. Oh yeah, that's a little later. Do you remember those at all? Batman Returns. You get the big cups with like the Penguin and Catwoman, and like they had like frisbee lids on them with the bat symbol. Do you remember that at all?
I do.
And I think they even had Happy Meal toys as well. That's one of the reasons why parents were not happy with that movie, because it was being promoted as like a family feature, and you have all this dark stuff in Batman Returns because it's basically a Tim Burton movie, and it's and like you get a Penguin Happy Meal toy. I thought it was cool though. And then they had Batman Forever. Remember the cut glasses that you could get? All on cut crisp. So you got one for Robin, Batman. I think.
Yes, I do.
I think I still have a couple of those. And they had the commercial. And it was taken partly from the movie. Remember the movie where Alfred says, "Can I persuade you to take a sandwich with you, sir?" And he goes,
I'll get
drive through.
Yeah.
And then they had the McDonald's commercial with them driving into the McDonald's, and they're advertising the superhero sandwich they're selling there, which is like some different kind of burger they made for that.
I remember there being a big dust up over, I think it was Batman Returns, because they were doing, McDonald's had the rights for the kids' meals for Batman, and they were doing tie-ins to the movies. But then when the movie came out, it was not like it was for kids. It was very violent, very gross, very, and there was a lot of dust up about that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I was mentioning that a minute ago because I think there was a lot of parents groups. That's because we don't get to have any fun. Okay,
right.
And I think that's when Warner Brothers wanted to change the tone going forward. They didn't really want Tim Burton back, and
how did that work out for them? That worked out real well.
Batman Forever is an interesting movie on a different level. It has more suggestive stuff in it than the violent stuff.
Well, and then Batman and Robin just kind of took a nosedive, and that wasn't even a Batman movie anymore. Not when Barbara Pennyworth is introduced.
Did they have a tie-in at McDonald's for that movie as well?
Don't know, don't care.
Anyway, but
free bat nipples.
Yeah. I remember seeing that in the theater, and I had a friend with we a group of my friends went, right, and then one friend's like, as soon as the first Hanna-Barbera sound effect comes on screen, he starts saying, "This sucks. This is stupid," and he wouldn't shut up through the whole movie, just yelling these comments. And I don't think, and the theater wasn't that crowded, and no one else seemed to care because it was an awful movie. Oh, but anyway, let's stop. We'll do Bat. We'll get there another time. I want to go back to Happy Meals. Do you remember the Transformables, the transforming Happy Meal toys that look like McDonald's items, like the
No, I don't, but that sounds really interesting.
You get like it looks like French fries, then you break it apart and it turns into a robot. And like the shake would turn into a shake
Oh,
robot.
wait a minute. I
Like,
think my brother had some of those. Yeah.
yes. Those were a big thing. Okay. I remember those.
And didn't they have like a burger that was in the box and the box would open up and you'd
yes, I
unfold the
believe so.
sandwich or whatever?
They had
Yeah.
like different series. I didn't get any from the first series. I got the. Oh, wait a minute. Are you talking about the hot the styrofoam thing where it's like this side keeps the cool side cool and the hot side?
No, that's not what I was talking about, but it was
Alright.
in that style.
Okay, yeah,
That
yeah.
kind of
It might
box.
have been the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just a.
No, you're talking about the McDLT. I had fond memories of that too because I really did like that idea. It was a very, I guess the best way I could describe it is it was a very Wendy's-like sandwich because of that. McDonald's is fine, but man, it was the reason why the Batman movie franchise went downhill in the 90s. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it until exactly what Boomer had just shared a second ago. You're probably spot on with that. Yeah.
Well, Dinosaurs had. Is that Jim Henson show? Dinosaurs.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that?
Could have
one?
been, yeah.
Not the mama.
Yeah, that one that had the great series finale, the genocide, end of the world ending. That's brilliant. Yeah, we've enjoyed Not the Mama, Not Gonna Grow Up, kid.
Yeah, that was a weird show. We'll
It was a weird era. That's the same era that ended with Alf being taken away by the government to be experimented on.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you never saw the last episode of
I
Alf?
think I did. I think I missed it. I thought he was supposed to go home, and then okay.
Nope. He gets taken away by the government to presumably be dissected.
Oh, you know what? You know what's funny about that? That could have been another show of him just annoying the government people in the lab, episode after episode, in like their private lives. You understand?
I want to see.
Alf series like that.
I want to see the adult parody where you find out that when he's talking about eating cats, he didn't mean cats.
Oh, okay. Melissa Harris, Mrs. Ronald McDonald. She was saying they got rid of him. Is that true?
Yeah, it's kind of like how Doctor Who after the Sylvester McCoy era wasn't really canceled. They just put him on hiatus indefinitely. That's kind of where Ronald McDonald is right now. Yeah. They're not using him, but they're not saying that he's gone forever or whatever.
Oh, whatever. Okay, so they don't know what to do with him. Okay, you know what? It was probably that Supersize movie that did it.
That was part of it. Another thing was, well, and this feeds into, no pun intended, feeds into that directly because they were trying to clean up the image of McDonald's, make it seem healthier than it really was. All the listing the calories and stuff on their board and all that kind of stuff. Like you said, the apple slices, and whatnot. And so they tried rebranding Ronald McDonald for a little while. They had a commercial about him, exercising and stuff like that. And people just didn't respond to it. It got really mocked. And so they were like, yeah, well, maybe it's time to retire him for the time being. Maybe we'll find a way to use him again later. Plus, there's the whole, people are creeped out by clowns. Let's face it.
Yeah, it's not gotten better over time, that sort of thing. But I'm going to say this, though. When you were a kid, though, how often would you go to McDonald's?
Maybe once a week.
Oh, you went more
yeah,
than
it was
me.
kind of a
Like
treat.
once a
Yeah,
month. Yeah, because it was not a common thing for me. It was like, maybe once a month if you're lucky. And usually you'd want the Happy Meal because they'd have something cool. I remember the Lego kits they had in Happy Meals.
yeah.
I know you're thinking it's just a few bricks in it.
And between
between
McDonald's, it was mostly McDonald's and Burger King running the specials on the those 4 collector glasses for the different movies. I think it was Burger King that did Star Wars. Had to get them all.
Really? Like back in the 70s?
Yep.
Oh, wow. Like, I can't even imagine the cool stuff they had in the 70s. And these.
Now, that wasn't directly related to kids' meals. That was a completely separate promotion. But yeah, we would go all the time. And then I think it was it Church's? No, was it Church's? Brown's? One of the chicken places.
Still have them too.
Oh, I absolutely do. In fact, you replaced a couple that got broken over the years. But I think it was one of the chicken places had during Rocky IV had promotional T-shirts. You'd go and you'd spend a certain amount of money, you can get a T-shirt. And I remember getting a Rocky IV T-shirt. We literally went there specifically for the T-shirt.
Oh, cool.
Yep.
I remember Long John Silver's. They had glasses for Columbus Day with the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria.
Really?
Each on a different glass.
That's pretty cool.
You couldn't get that nowadays, but back in the day, you know.
Wow. Well, no, you definitely can't because Long John Silver's isn't around anymore.
They aren't?
I don't think so.
I haven't seen one in ages. I guess they did disappear.
Yeah.
Oh, Most Sons was mentioning the Lord of the Rings glasses at Burger King. Yeah, but we're getting all these other places. Let's get back to McDonald's. I'm trying to think if there's anything.
No.
Go ahead.
No. Nanette was saying that there were some in other states, not here.
I have to tell you, those shake machines always broken.
Yes, and I did some research into it. Found out what the situation is. It's partly tied up with the rights to who can fix the machines. So they haven't had an exclusive contract with a particular vendor for maintaining the machines, which was a big part of it. And if you called in anyone else, you were in breach of contract. You could get sued. So they said, just fine, screw it. We won't carry the ice cream anymore. But the whole reason they would constantly break down, they were overfilling the machines. If you filled them past a certain place, they would spill over. That spillover would trigger something that would shut down the machine, and they thought it was broken. So once they figured that out, the ones that you would go to that always had the ice cream, that manager knew the trick, knew not to fill it over a certain point, and always kept it that way.
Interesting. Okay, but I'm trying to think though. I mean, yeah, remember when McNuggets were introduced?
I do actually. Yeah. I had to think about it because I wasn't real into them at the time, so it didn't matter to me. But yeah,
even today, once in a blue moon, I'll get McNuggets and then I eat them and I'm like, why did I?
If you're really interested, those Long John Silver's cups, the set of 3 go for. I see a set going for $25 on eBay.
I have them already.
Oh well, then don't buy them.
I still have mine.
Oh okay.
They're valuable collector's items. It's investment.
Well, valuable, $25 for the set of 3. That's how valuable they are.
Probably adjusted for inflation. It's what I paid for them. Anyway, okay.
And then there's a bunch of people that have 4 of them. Why are there 4? Is it Nina?
There was a 4th, and I got annoyed because I wanted. We're not getting you the 4th one. It's because they put all 3 on the 4th one.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Nina, Pinta, Santa Maria, and D'Artagnan. No. I'm making a joke there.
That'd be funny. Okay. They should do okay because the 3 Musketeers. Okay. Anyway, but yeah, you know what? I don't know. I'm saying that McDonald's. The point is that I didn't go there every day. Okay.
Yeah. That
was the problem that happened later. I guess people were going there every day and they became morbidly obese and stuff, and then that was there were health problems. Like I remember hearing one story of some girl in England that subsisted on a diet of chicken nuggets every day of her life since she was a kid.
Well, keep in mind too, and I'm talking about before the introduction of Chicken McNuggets, the portion sizes were much smaller.
They were.
You know, most people just got the cheeseburger, which was the same thing you got in the kids' meal, and the small fry was the small fry. You know, large fry was what we call a medium fry now. You know. Large drink was what we call a medium drink.
Remember the Mulan Szechuan sauce promotion on? Do you remember that at all?
I know that there was this whole thing about the Szechuan sauce on Rick and Morty, and I guess Rick had found an alternate universe where he could go and get the Szechuan sauce, and he would actually make trips over to the alternate universe to get that Szechuan sauce because he loves it so much. And I know that McDonald's brought it back for a limited time as a Rick and Morty promotion.
And then all the Rick and Morty fans went nuts and like were messing around in the restaurants and stuff. Did you see videos of that? It was.
I did not know.
It's not cool. And I remember around holiday time they had the what was it, the cranberry sauce or something for like
Okay.
the McNuggets. Anyway, okay, we've probably beaten this horse to death.
I think we spend more and more time on the good old days because the news is just so damn depressing.
Yeah.
Even the good news is pretty depressing.
Well, here's the problem. Okay, entertainment right now is very boring because of this stupid pandemic that won't go away, and they're treating it like it won't go away. So things are not really normal. So it's like maybe if things were sped along and movies that were supposed to come out had been out already, and then we'd be getting new stuff. And if maybe if things fail, and there'd be more clear markers of what the audience likes, what the audience doesn't like, instead of all this nonsense, murky water stuff we're dealing with now. Like I have no idea what we're supposed to even take from this new Bond movie coming out. What does it need to be successful, and can they even judge it as not successful, even if it doesn't make $1 billion? I don't know. It's.
Well, I think they're going to be in for a shock when it does even worse than they're expecting it to. I mean, it's automatically not going to break even, but they're going to be shocked by how much of a loss they're going to take on this.
All right. So, anyways, that was McDonald's. Happy days, kind of. I don't know. I'm hoping that during the month of October we may do some spooky themed good old days. We'll see. I'll see if I can come up with anything. I definitely want to talk about some of the spooky toys I played with as a kid.
Okay.
There's some cool stuff in the 80s.
Yes, there was.
All right. Maybe you know what you could do. Did you play with spooky toys growing up?
Well,
If you could think of one.
I was just going to say, I can't remember if Mego was the one that put them out, but there was that Mego scale series of monsters
All right.
that came out.
So maybe we'll talk about that next week. Yeah.
That have been re-released, and I've repurchased them because they came in a gift pack, all put together with an action figure of Svengoolie.
Oh.
Yeah,
cool.
I'll show it on camera next week then.
All right. Disney CEO Bob Chapek says something shut down, so you can see it on the screen there. Obviously,
yeah.
We don't want to get Susan upset.
The beer bug.
Beer bug shutdowns. Reduced streaming content available in quarter four. Warns Wall Street subscriber growth not a straight line.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, nice going, Bob. Nobody likes you. Please leave. This is all your fault.
You know, and it's funny because anyone who's intellectually honest is going to read that headline and go, true, very true. Yes. You know, I mean, regardless of what any of the businesses want or would do, you know, the ridiculousness of these laws have prevented them from being able to make content. If you can't make content, you can't release it. You can't make dollars. Business is shut down. Basically, there is no one who could just invent revenue out of nothing. So don't blame Bob Chapek for that. I don't know if he's, intentionally saying this, but, blame your local representatives for this. But keep in mind, too, he's also the guy that comes from the parks, and the parks have been shut down because of this. So he's not too happy with, certainly California. He's probably real happy with your state, though.
Yeah, well, you know something? Certain people working at Disney decided to back a certain campaign in California recently, so you're going to get what you deserve.
Yeah, that's true. You got a good point there.
Walt Disney Chief Executive Bob Chapek said the company's global net paid subscribers will rise by low single-digit millions for its current fiscal fourth quarter from the third, meaning slower growth, and put Wall Street on notice that long-term targets are still on track, but they shouldn't assume growth will be a straight line. A quarter-to-quarter business is not linear, he told a media conference Tuesday. That's something where we're not exactly aligned with the street. Investors take last December and say, "Oh, they want us to get 230 or 260 or whatever the number," and they divide it by the number of quarters and say they need to add X per quarter. But these numbers tend to be a lot noisier than a straight line quarter to quarter, and we have some of that in the current quarter, he said. Um, can I say something out loud right now? I'm going to say it. I don't
It's
care.
your
It's my
show.
stream.
I don't
It's
care.
my stream. You just gave me a mouthful of Greek salad. What are you talking about? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Okay, let's move on. That's a line from Day of the Dead. Anyway, uh, Disney shares closed down 4%, but had regained ground in late trading. Chapek speaking at a Goldman Sachs media conference. I kept saying, are they still around? And then I realized, oh no, it was Lehman Brothers that went under. Okay. Said the company remains confident in its long-term projections, and core market subscriber growth will continue both domestically and internationally quarter four despite headwinds in Latin America and India, and pandemic-induced production delays that created a kink in the supply chain for new content coming to the service. Okay, so that supply chain problems, I guess the caterers couldn't get the food for the set and other things, and I don't know. Okay. This is very short term, he said. In fact, has been resolved. The studio currently has 61 new movies and 17 episodic programs in production. The television group has hundreds of new programs in production, and the company has 200 productions underway across the globe. You impressed?
Yeah.
The
Keep
supply
in
chain
mind,
is healthy.
keep
Just
in
said it
mind,
wasn't
they're
healthy.
spinning some things
Okay.
here because
Yes.
when you talk about having production companies across the globe, what that translates to is fine. If I can't film here, I'll film there. And while everybody else is in lockdown, I'll still be making my movie over here where I can do it. The other thing too is, behind the scenes, you got this whole Mandalorian technology thing that is allowing them to do a whole lot more than they ever could before. And they're going to be making content of incredible quality, while other studios are struggling or licensing, filming space from Disney.
I bet Warner Brothers would like their hands on that technology.
And that's exactly what's going to happen. Warner Brothers is going to be paying licensing fees in order to do it.
Because they had big troubles on that Batman set. Okay.
Well, it's no different than back in the day when Lucasfilm, was helping, for example, Warner Brothers make Superman, or Paramount to make Star Trek.
Yeah, Industrial Light and Magic.
Yep.
Speaking of Lucasfilm, should we move on? Do you have anything else to say about Chapek's story?
No, not on that. No.
All right. Disney exec Chris
Coxel.
Coxel named new Lucasfilm publicity vice president.
I wonder why.
You need to rein in some people over there.
Well, because the girl that was in charge there before him, we just talked about it a week or two ago that she's retiring.
Yeah.
Too much fanfare, and she served so well. Get the fuck out the door. We're bringing someone else in.
I can imagine it's like that meeting. Oh, you're so good, and they're doing it, and like she's still lingering. He's like, get the fuck.
Yeah.
like it turns on a dime.
Yeah, you did a great job. You don't work here anymore. Get off the property.
Yeah, like they're being nice up until 5 seconds after they were being nice. Like, okay, now go. Skedaddle. Leave. Okay, Lucasfilm has hired Chris Coxel as its new vice president of publicity and communications, succeeding longtime public relations head Lynn Hale, who is stepping down after 35 years at the company. Coxel joins Lucasfilm from parent studio Disney, where he has worked with Lucasfilm for all Disney released Star Wars titles, starting with The Force Awakens in 2015 and going on through the Emmy campaign for Disney Plus series The Mandalorian, which has won 14 Emmys over 2 seasons and 2 nominations for Outstanding Drama Series. Coxel will continue to be involved in the Disney-Lucasfilm partnership on Star Wars publicity campaigns as the two studios prepare to launch a flurry of new Star Wars series on Disney Plus. Along with Season 3 of The Mandalorian, Lucasfilm is developing series like Obi-Wan Kenobi, starring prequel trilogy star Ewan McGregor, as well as Ahsoka, starring Rosario Dawson, and Andor, starring Diego Luna. While Star Wars is taking a break from the big screen for now, it will return in 2023 with Rogue Squadron from Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins. Before then, Lucasfilm released a fifth Indiana Jones from Logan director James Mangold with a release set for July 2022. Coxell's hire was first reported by THR. I am going to say this. It does look like, I say what you want about Disney. They do tend to have release schedules and set them and release the things. Okay, I have noticed this about them.
Yep.
As opposed to other companies that are all over the place, which we'll get to later on.
Right. Good point.
So whether or not I am looking forward to some of the stuff, at least it's going to be coming out, so I can at least talk about it. Again, though, I have a feeling some of the stuff is going to be a mixed bag. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those situations where you're tempted to say, well, good, maybe he'll rein in, their social media presence and tell people shut the fuck up when they're saying stuff that's hurting their properties. But then we thought that about the last time there was a change in their social media director, and didn't necessarily happen. But there are clearly some big changes going on behind the scenes over at Disney and Lucasfilm. So I think people are getting different marching orders these days. It'll be interesting to see what does and does not change over there.
Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah.
But I know that Mandalorian is supposed to have a third and final season, which makes sense considering the lead actor on that, I think, is moving on to the HBO Max series The Last of Us, which I will not be watching because I don't like that game series at all. But anyway, he's a good actor, though. I forget his name now, though. Okay. Let's see here, though. Hollywood.com. Okay, Disney CEO talent deals undergoing a quote-unquote reset after Scarlett Johansson lawsuit. Weren't you predicting this?
Yes, I was. Yes, I was. I did talk about this several weeks ago. And I said, this is coming, and here it is, right? Now, I'm not taking full responsibility for that. I listened to some very wise and insightful people, like Kamran Pasha, okay? So I'm in full disclosure, I'm just telling you where I get my information from.
Oh, he was on the Pauly birthday stream today.
Yes, he was.
Slant.
Yes, he was.
I became a member and I got a nice fanfare. That was I actually wasn't even expecting that.
Did you get the dancing dog?
I got dancing people. I don't know if the dog was there. I tried.
Oh, okay. You got the.
I don't know if he had to
yeah.
edit it out or if I just couldn't find it again because maybe there's copyrights. Some guy was saying in the chat like, "Oh no, it's going to get flagged now" or something. Because I guess I don't know if he had ball players. It looked fun. Okay, he had all these dancing things.
Well, Pauly has had some problems with getting his channel taken down for ridiculous. Everybody is. I mean, this. The socialist media overlords are, in full swing out there, so it's ridiculous.
I liked what he was saying though about Clint Eastwood. He said, "Clint Eastwood's done more for Hispanic Heritage Month than anyone else in Hollywood because
I know, right?
The movie Cry Macho, which I guess is a very positive portrayal of Latin Americans in it.
Right,
it's a nice story and." I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on it but it's Eastwood. I don't think I've ever seen an Eastwood movie where I felt like I wasted my time after I was done watching it. Even though they vary, I don't think I've ever had one I didn't like.
I didn't care for the ending of that boxing film, but
yeah, that was controversial. I do remember though at the time Roger Ebert saying, and he was even commenting on the director. We're not saying what the character did was right. We're saying we understood why the character did it.
Yeah.
You understand? He said he wasn't agreeing with that choice either. And I don't even think Eastwood did, but he said for that character, that's why. But yeah, like I said, to each. But like other movies, like that one you recommended to me, I loved. Were Eagles there? Was that it or no?
If I recommended a Clint Eastwood film, it was probably Heartbreak Ridge.
Heartbreak Ridge, yes, Heartbreak Ridge. That's excellent.
Heartbreak Ridge is absolutely one of my favorite films. I remember I didn't see it when it first came out, and it's a very quotable film. And the group in high school and college that I used to play D&D with, they were quoting this movie all the time, and I'd be like, where are these quotes coming from? I don't recognize these quotes. And they're like, you've never seen Heartbreak Ridge? No. So we sat down and watched it, and it was just awesome. And I came home one night and I was telling Nanette about this movie, and sometimes, and she'll tell you this too, sometimes I just have a way of telling a story that kind of hooks you. And she's like, I'd like to see this movie. So we played it, and she really did. She really likes it. And so now she quotes it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Right.
Yes.
So I definitely recommend it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Heartbreak. No, it was a lot of fun. Actually, it's a nice little. You know what it spoke to for me. It's a patriotic movie at a time probably when patriotism was not at an all-time high. Do you understand?
Exactly.
You look at those were Marines, correct? And,
yes, they were Marines.
They were not acting like Marines in the beginning of that movie. He was having to whip them.
He needed to straighten them out. Yeah.
And I think that's sort of what the mood of the country was. Nothing, man. It's not important. Blah,
in a
blah.
way, it was almost a little bit like the Marine version of the Sweat Hogs,
Yeah.
where the old gunnery sergeant, is called back to take care of his old platoon. That's all a bunch of, misfits, and whip them into shape.
Especially the one guy that didn't he steal from him in the diner he was on the bus, and then he runs into him there, and of course he ends up becoming like his number one student at the end, right?
Yep. Well, there's the one guy, the Swede, this big guy, right?
That was funny, yeah.
Who really is, he's going to put this gunnery sergeant in his place, and he comes out and he gets into a fight with him, and Clint Eastwood just lays him out. And he goes, I'll go wait for the MPs out front. And Clint Eastwood's like, negative. I'm going to make a Marine out of you. Get out there with the other guys.
Because even though he's starting a fight with a superior, and superior beats him, he says, no, I'm not going to turn you in for that.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So, a good movie. If you want a feel-good movie, that'd be one for Daniel Herron if he wants another movie to watch that make him feel, more patriotic. I think Heartbreak Ridge. But let's get back to things that make us feel so.
Actually, I will definitely end up doing a rewatch of that. Maybe after the holidays.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
I definitely will do a rewatch of that on a Friday night, because it is literally one of my favorite films.
It's a good one. So anyway,
it's not exactly based on history, but it does deal with the invasion of Grenada. So, there is a slight historic element there, Yeah.
Yes, Pedro Pascal.
Whatever.
However I feel about him personally, at least I think he got a little better later on, though.
Yeah. Someone told him to keep his mouth shut.
Yeah. He was interesting. He was in Kingsman 2. I remember that. He was one of the statesmen. Anyway, let's move on. Talking about Disney. Because I don't want to talk. We're actually almost done with Dismal Disney, aren't we?
Yeah.
Actually, this may not be. This was interesting though. You were talking about.
Yeah, go ahead and talk about the article, and I'll point out everything I was right about.
Okay. In light of the ongoing legal battle between Black Widow star Scarlett Johansson and Disney CEO Bob Chapek says the standards for talent deals are undergoing a quote-unquote reset, and future agreements will need to take into account the changes to movie release windows accelerated by the pandemic. Speaking at the Goldman Sachs Communicopia conference on Tuesday, Chapek did not explicitly mention Johansson in her lawsuit, but referred to deals cut 3 or 4 years ago on films made during that time that got launched during the middle of the pandemic. We've got a deal that's conceived under a certain set of conditions that actually results in a movie that's being released in a completely different set. So there's a bit of a reset that's going on right now, and ultimately we'll think about that as we do our future talent deals and plans and plan for that and make sure that that's incorporated, Chapek said. But right now we've got sort of this middle position where we're trying to do right by the talent. I think the talent's trying to do right by us, and we're just sort of figuring out our way to bridge the gap.
Yeah, and I also have to wonder, since this is coming a little bit before another news article that we got coming up pretty soon about Marvel, how this plays into that. And we'll get into that in a moment. But But this is very clearly what I said before. When you know you've got a situation coming up, a good leader looks ahead and gets out in front of problems, right? And one of the problems that anybody with any intelligence knows is that we have a new model for getting content out to the masses, right? And that's this streaming service. And we saw it happen when we went from televised programs to syndication, when we went from syndication to home media, right? Televised films that had been out in the theaters then went to television, got commercial releases. Then when home media got different formats, when we went from VHS to DVD to Blu-ray to HD, and then cable came along, and now we have the streaming services, right? And the law tends to treat every single one of those changes differently. It makes perfect sense to you and I that if you are entitled to residuals for syndicated television shows, you are an actor on Gilligan's Island, and Gilligan's Island is shown, on another channel, years later, what is it, MeTV or something like that. Well, you get a residual check for that because that's your work that's still making somebody money. You deserve a percentage of that. And that's all been squared away in the courts a long time ago. But then you have to fight that exact same battle when Gilligan's Island comes out in VHS. And then you got to fight the battle all over again when they start releasing it on DVD and when they start showing it on cable and when it becomes a streaming service, and you can get it on whoever's carrying Gilligan's Island now on stream, right? And this is the fight that Scarlett Johansson decided to take up when she's like, hey, wait a minute, I think we deserve something if you're going to be streaming and this and that. And yeah, no, and I said this when the case went to court. Ultimately, she's not wrong. However, she jumped over 3 spaces to get to that. There's a progression here. You start by going, this isn't fair. It's not fair. Do we need to go to court about this? Or do you just want to work something out? It's called negotiation, right? Yep. And that's what her agency, Creative Artists Agency, owned by Brian Lord, right? Her representative should have done that. No. For whatever reason, and I say for whatever reason in quotes there, decided we're gonna take them to court and we're gonna do this. We're gonna have this tried in the court of public opinion and make Disney look bad and make them acquiesce to us. And Disney's like, okay, fine. If that's how you want it, then all the stuff that we would have talked about in private, we're going to talk about publicly, and we're going to talk about how much money you made and how much money you're asking for. What, you think it's dirty pool that we talk about that in public? Too damn bad. You're the one that decided that we were going into a public arena with it.
Hey, listen to this. The article goes on. The high-profile dispute, which has invoked sharply worded statements on both camps, is still ongoing, but Disney hasn't lost its footing in other talent agreements. Last month, I don't even know if I reported on this. Last month, Disney secured deals with Emma Stone for Cruella 2 and Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt for Jungle Cruise 2.
Yep.
What do you think that's about?
Well, let's go back to when we did talk about that. Well, we did talk about that many weeks ago.
This is what... No, I remember we were saying that, listen, don't make a stink, and we'll finance your next movie.
Exactly. Go back and
what happened. Yes.
And I'm not telling you to go back and listen. Yeah. I'm telling the people in the stream, go back and listen to our previous streams where we talked about this. And I said, when Emma Stone said she was considering going to court, okay, that was her agency behind the scenes saying, and they were weighing their options. Basically, they inferred they were waiting to see what happened with Scarlett Johansson. But what that really was them sending the message to Disney, we don't want to go down that route. Can we work something out? Disney said, absolutely. Yeah. And that's why there's going to be a Cruella 2 when Cruella 1 didn't make shit. They took a loss on that. And everyone's going, what? They're doing a sequel to that? That's just them giving Emma Stone money. Yep. They make a contract with her. Maybe that movie never even gets made. But they formed a contract with her, so they have to give her a certain amount of money. And what ends up happening is it wasn't economically feasible for us to make this movie. We would take a loss. So we bought out her contract. Tax deduction.
And even if worst case scenario they did release it, they might make money off it over time. It's still probably better than
that's possible. I mean,
you decide to sue them
if they go through the motions, and because that's the other thing too. There are a lot of contracts out there that they are on, and we see this in so many things. Stephanie Janicek has talked about this with the Star Wars thing. There's a lot of stuff that's still happening, and we're going, see, Kathleen Kennedy's still in charge over there. She's doing this, that, and the other. No, you need to understand that there is stuff that's been in the pipeline, and you can't just put the brakes on it. And they look at it and they do a cost analysis. Would it be cheaper for us to pay out the contracts and take the loss, or take whatever money we can get out of it, which will still be a loss, and still pay out the same contracts? Take a little rather than take nothing is what they're doing with a lot of these projects that are already in the pipeline. So everyone who's all upset about the, SJW future, hippie world that they did at the parks, that's been in the works for almost a decade now. They couldn't pull the stops on that. They need to let that go, and then when nobody cares about it and people bitch about it and they take a lot of flack, then they can get rid of it, and they say, well, we did it, we fulfilled our contracts, we're getting rid of this piece of shit now.
Yeah, like I said, we may end up dealing with a lot of this crap for the better part of the decade, but I'm hoping that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel.
But then going back to my last note about this particular article, what does this mean, not only for Scarlett Johansson, but for CAA, and their relationship with Disney? My argument is it's done. She is not going to be working for Disney anymore, which was probably the case anyway. She certainly wasn't going to be doing anything else with Black Widow. Black Widow was never going to get any more use anymore. That character was done, right? But now she's not going to be working for Disney in any other capacity ever again. And it's very possible that CAA will not be working with Disney anymore either.
Yeah.
And I had predicted this weeks ago based on, some things Cameron said, some things Script Doctor said, and other people that work in the industry that I listen to have said. And is that unfair to the people that work for CAA? No, not really. They don't have to continue working with CAA. You can't get me a job at Disney? Fuck you. I'm going to go over to this other talent agency and work with them. Bye.
Yeah, I think this is called biting the hand that feeds you, right?
Well, and the speculation is that Brian Lord thought that he had Disney over a barrel with this thing, and he misread the room. And when you misread the room at this high level, you can put yourself out of business. And so what ends up happening is, my prediction is CAA is going to go bye-bye. Okay? And everyone that works for them is going to go work for other companies, or they'll start a new business under a new name. And Brian Lord is probably not going to be involved with them at all.
Bum. Oh, Mr. Matchstick, hello. Oh, Zootopia has a comment I have to address here. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah, no.
Any which way you can, the Eastwood movie with the monkey was a waste of time. For starters, it was an orangutan. Okay.
Yeah.
And without that movie, would we have gotten BJ and the bear?
In fairness, any which way you can, any which way but loose. I thought they were great movies. I went to see those with my grandfather, who loved them. The whole Right Turn Clyde.
Yeah.
You can't take them too seriously. They were a product of the late 70s. They were right up there with Smokey and the Bandit in their silliness. you enjoy them for what they are, you know.
Yeah, this was before Star Wars. Okay,
I would say I would argue that was the period where Clint Eastwood was paying his dues. We couldn't have had Heartbreak Ridge if we hadn't had Any Which Way But Loose.
That's true. It did make a lot of money. It's one of his most successful movies.
I enjoyed it. I really did. I was a kid at the time, you know. Great music came out of there, you know. That was right during that urban cowboy era, you know.
Urban Cowboy. John
Yep.
Travolta, right?
Pardon me?
Was that John Travolta, Urban Cowboy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What the heck?
Looking for love in all the wrong places and so forth.
What do you mean an error has occurred?
What error has occurred?
Hold on a minute. StreamYard, hold on. I'm going to refresh.
I'm not having any problem with StreamYard. I'm not having any problem on YouTube either. We're still streaming.
Hold on a minute. Give me 1 sec, okay, if I disappear.
Okay. Hey, guys, those of you that are listening right now, please give us an F or something to let us know everything's fine and that you're hearing us. Netter's giving me a thumbs up sitting across the room from me. And Netter, can you still put comments in the stream and whatnot?
Why are there 2 of me in the stream now?
Because, you know, now you lost one.
Yeah,
for a moment there you had and everyone's saying
this
that
is weird. I don't know. I don't want to know. Okay. Let's just see if
this was the Mandela thing, you know, for a moment you overlapped with an alternate universe version of yourself.
Would there be 2 of me?
Yeah?
In that alternate universe they have
What
Szechuan
drug are you
sauce.
drinking?
Yeah, what drug are you on over there, Boomer? Can we have some?
I don't know. Anyway, look.
It's that hippie juice. You got to stop that, man. It'll rot your brain.
You think there's some marijuana in here? Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't know. I bought it in a shop that sold this weird paraphernalia.
Well, okay. See, there you go. I should tell you the story about my buddy who thought he was going into a martial arts store. And it wasn't martial arts. He misread marital aids. Oh! He said, "Wow, those are the weirdest looking nunchucks I ever saw."
Oh no, marital. Yep. Oh, okay. Let's move on. Marvel suing to keep right to Avengers characters from copyright termination. Feel free to stop me at any point. This article goes on for a while. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Disney's Marvel unit is suing to hold on to full control of Avengers characters, including Iron Man, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Falcon, Thor, and others.
Yep.
The complaints, which the Hollywood Reporter has obtained, come against the heirs of some of the late comic book geniuses, including Stan Lee, Steve Ditko, and Gene Colan.
Yep.
The suits seek declaratory relief that these blockbuster characters are ineligible for copyright termination as works made for hire. If Marvel loses, Disney would have to share ownership of characters worth billions. What?
Yep. So let me jump in here, okay? Because this can get pretty detailed, and I am not a lawyer. Just saying that up front, but I am very enthused by intellectual property law. In addition to that, just before we went live, I was listening to Viva Barnes Law, and they were talking specifically about this. Same situation where Viva Fry says, I don't know anything about intellectual property law. Robert Barnes says, let me break it down for you. So, work for hire, okay? Let me explain that for the comic book industry, okay? If you are working for Marvel Comics and you are a writer working for Marvel Comics, hired by and working directly for Marvel Comics, and you are told to write issue number 75 of The Invincible Iron Man, okay? That is work for hire. You don't own anything you just created. Okay, you don't own that story. However, if you create a character, you may have some rights to it. Okay, and that's what Disney is arguing is the case right here. However, That was not the case when Ditko and these guys created these characters. They weren't working for Marvel Comics. The law should not be applied as work for hire. These were independent creators that were licensing characters that they created to Marvel, okay? And you do that for a period of time. That could be 15 years, that could be 30 years. They pay you a license fee for that. Now, the law says you're supposed to then come back at the end of that time and renegotiate. And if you can't come up with a deal, then Steve Ditko or his estate, because it's the property of his estate, it's not just him personally, can say, nah, we're going to go with somebody else. We're going to go with a different company.
Didn't Steve Ditko get royally screwed over the Spider-Man rights even back in the day, though, or something? Like,
yeah. There's a whole history of this, and this is where case law comes into it, and it's very, very complicated. So here's what it comes down to. Okay, this is the Robert Barnes, real lawyer, perspective on this. It can go one of two ways. Based on the law, these rights, by all rights, legally speaking, should revert back to the estates of the creators. That's the way the law is set up. Okay. And if Disney wants to continue to make Iron Man and all these other characters, they can renegotiate a new license with those families. And they have the money to do it. If the family says, you know what, we don't like what you're doing with Iron Man. Screw you. We're going over to DC Comics or even Van Sciver in his personal company or whatever.
Right.
Okay. Disney has the option to go, you know what? We'll back the fucking truck up of money for you.
Question for you. Now, as we know, Iron Man, at least as we know him, is no longer in the MCU. And if they introduce Iron Heart, Riri Williams, the all different Marvel character,
yep.
Does Disney own that lock, stock, and two smoking barrels, that sort of thing? Do they own?
Well, I don't know. See, that depends on.
Is this maybe the push for all of these?
A lot of people are speculating.
Marvel characters.
It seems likely. It seems likely that the all new, all different characters, besides the push for diversity and whatnot, could very well be all that SJW bullshit was just a smokescreen for them to create new characters that they could then say, well, that's fine. You created Tony Stark Iron Man. You didn't create Riri Williams Ironheart, and they may have this same problem in 15, 20 years with whoever created those characters. I don't know.
No, because I don't know.
It depends on whether they were licensed characters.
They were probably work for hire.
Those might have been work for hire. So you might be right.
Yeah.
Those might be owned by Disney. But again, and this was the same speculation we were having with Rey and Finn and, Admiral Purple Hair, right?
Yes.
And killing off all the legacy characters.
Yes.
Because then Disney owns them. They don't have to give any money to Papa George. And what did I say at the time? Well, congratulations. Now you're left holding an empty sack. You don't owe money to anybody, but you're not making any money yourself. Congratulations.
Let's think about the whole SJW thing, okay? Maybe you're hiring SJWs because they work cheap, because for them it's about the cause more than it is about if they hold the rights to this character, right? And maybe they can also convince, hey, this is what the young kids are into. They're not into this old, this is the cool stuff.
From a business standpoint, sure. That seems like a logical belief they might hold.
Sold. And maybe a lot of this decision making around this is because, like, I just saw Iron Man. I want to go into a store and buy an Iron Man comic book, and then it's Iron Heart, and you're like, where's the Iron Man comics? Maybe all of this is so Disney can retain the rights to this new generation of Marvel superheroes, get rid of the old. The legacy was to get people into the theaters, and the new characters are so characters they can own, and then people, I don't know.
Sure. No, you're absolutely right. Yeah. That's probably what the reasoning was behind it. But the reality is, well, that's great, but, Coke too. Nobody liked it. Nobody bought it. Congratulations. You kind of fucked yourself.
They probably own Captain America, because you'll notice how Captain America, the name still gets carried on. So that must be something Marvel owns, as opposed to.
So this is definitely something to keep an eye on.
Iron Man, which they don't own. So let's make Iron Heart this other character.
This is another
awesome Hulk or something else. Yeah.
This is another situation where it's very clear that this is going to go to court, and this is going to be precedent setting one way or the other. It's either going to go the way the law should go, the spirit of the law, what's right, okay, or politics will win out. Disney wins because they're, everybody who's involved in the case owns stock in Disney, and the little guy gets screwed again. This is the same reason that Steamboat Willie isn't in the public domain yet, because every couple decades, Disney finds some way to get the law rewritten for themselves.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on it and see where that goes.
Right, yeah.
Now, at the same time, this doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing or a bad thing for fans either way, right? What happens if, the rights for all of these characters revert back to their creators, and their creators split up all these characters and they all go to different places? Well, you never get to have a Marvel Universe anymore. Those characters that were part of the Avengers are no longer accessible to the owners of the Avengers. So, it's the same problem that Disney had when they first bought Marvel Studios, trying to get the rights back from Universal and from Sony and 20th Century Fox.
I have another comment too. Do you think it's possible that characters like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, that maybe these are either characters that Marvel just owns lock, stock, and barrel, or maybe they were cheap to license out, or they don't have to pay as much for them? And that's
probably. There was nothing happening with those characters, so they could probably get them for a song.
Think about when Iron Man first happened. I mean, you and I know of Iron Man, but the general public didn't know who he was. Right? Okay.
Yeah, he was a second stringer as far as Marvel was concerned.
So maybe Iron Man is costs a lot less than, let's say, Spider-Man. Do you understand? Who's the big
absolutely. But this is Disney not wanting to pay any more than they have to for an acquisition, and I understand that. But right is right, and let's just hope that the courts do what they're supposed to do, and they uphold the spirit of the law, that rights return to the creators, because that was why this law exists, right? Because who the fuck is going to create something for someone else? We want creative people that create to be able to, feel like they're being paid for their work. If you invent something, you deserve to make money off of it.
Sam Maggs will do it.
Yeah.
She actually wrote Captain Marvel comics for the all different Marvel.
Yeah. And how well did they sell?
Yeah. It's not about that.
Go watch my video about Kelly Sue DeConnick.
Oh yeah.
If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book.
Yeah,
we're really concerned about the comic book industry now. It's really retracting, and a lot of people are out of work now.
You treated the stores like crap.
Yep.
That was Anyway, I want to read another thing from this article, though. Almost a decade ago, one of the lawyers, he represented the estate of comic book legend Jack Kirby over whether he could terminate a copyright grant on Spider-Man, X-Men, The Incredible Hulk, and The Mighty Thor. In August 2013, the Second Court of Appeals affirmed a lower court's ruling that determined Kirby's heirs couldn't wrest back his share of rights to these characters because the former Marvel freelancer had contributed his materials as a work made for hire. I was just talking.
And wait a minute. Listen to what you just said. A freelancer is being told that his work is work for hire. You can't have work for hire if you're a freelancer. You're an independent contractor. That means anything you do is a licensing agreement. He didn't work for Marvel. He was an independent contractor.
Yeah. Listen to
That's
this.
the problem here. And this is what people gloss over and don't realize. These words mean something very specific when you talk about the law.
Listen to this. The Kirby case was then petitioned up to the Supreme Court, with the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg signaling some interest in taking up the case. Marvel at the time fought hard against any high court review, and before the justices decided the case was settled, they were worried this was going to the Supreme Court.
Exactly. That's
Okay.
exactly right.
All right. Wow. Okay. This could get really messy because you could have this whole starting again.
Look, intellectual property law is very messy. It's a lot of people are bored to tears by the nitty-gritty of law, but guys, so many of the things we talk about are direct results of intellectual property law, okay? Everything that you saw happen with the New 52, everything that you saw happen with even the John Byrne era of the reboot of Superman, okay? That was all direct result of the court cases between the estates of Siegel and Schuster versus DC Comics. Okay? For whatever stupid reason, the courts decided to split the proverbial baby and say, you know what? Siegel and Schuster own the rights to these aspects of Superman, but not these rights.
Wow.
You know? And it was elements of whether or not this character was a Superboy for a period of time. Kryptonite, other things, you know, things that were it was absolutely bizarre, and it's hard to wrap your mind around as a fan who looks at 60, 75 years worth of continuity and try to separate out who did what and when. You know, it's very, very messy. And ultimately, what it comes down to, people, is if you own a trademark, if you own the rights to something, but you don't own the rights to everything, then you make the business deal you have to make the movies and stories you want to make. Pay people what they are owed, enter into agreements, and continue on. It's the example that I've made for years was the argument, the case between CBS and Warner Brothers over Batman 66. There was no home media release for it for years. There was no toys or anything directly related to it. No money being made at all by anybody because neither side wanted to let the other one profit from it. They wanted everything. And they both ended up with 100% of nothing. And somewhere along the way, both Warner Brothers and CBS got their heads out of their collective asses. And now we can own these things on DVD, and we're getting comic books set in the 66 era, and both sides are making money and both sides are happy. Shocking. That's the way capitalism's supposed to work, people. Hallelujah.
How much of the problems we're experiencing now with our entertainment, we always say it's because of the woke stuff, but the woke stuff could be brought on because of all these copyright disputes.
In a lot of ways, the woke stuff is a smokescreen for greed.
Think about the upcoming Eternals, right? People are complaining that they've changed the races, genders of half the characters. They're almost non-recognizable major characters. Maybe because of the deal they have with the Kirby estate, if they make them look exactly like they did in the comic book, or if they don't adjust them, they have to pay the Kirby estate more money.
Yeah, and there may be some merit to that, maybe not.
I don't know.
It could just be, well, look, I don't care who you cast as the character. That character is owned by Jack Kirby. I don't know.
Some director in there that's probably never read a comic book in her life.
Yeah,
it's like a Frankenstein monster.
But if there's the 25% different concept, right?
Yeah.
Which is we use kind of loosely when we talk about Star Trek because it's so blatantly clear. The Bad Robot wants to make money off of their brand of Star Trek. They don't make that if they follow the Gene Roddenberry track.
Nobody likes their brand of Star Trek.
Again, it's the same thing I'm saying about Ironheart. Well, that's great. You can do what you want, but you're not going to make any money because you don't want to share. And you can create your Raylo and your Captain Purple hair, but it's still not going to make you any money. All you get is the satisfaction that you cut George out of a little more profit. I mean, it's flipping ridiculous, but this is exactly what all of this is about.
This is a nightmare. You think you have all these choices, and you realize you have no choices. Okay.
This is why I say the fans are doing the best work. Fan films and fan fiction and, fan-made toys. And, technically it's not legal, but you know what? Nobody gives a fuck anymore. We're rebelling.
Anyway, let's move on to Universal Studios, shall we?
Sure. Super
Mario Brothers animated film to star Chris Pratt and Anna Taylor-Joy.
When you first sent this to me, the first thing I thought was the original Bob Hoskins, Mario Brothers film. And I was like, oh, what are they doing? They're doing this again?
Okay, here is what's going on, and I'm going to explain it because this thing blew up online as well. And I don't know if any of you in the chat want to comment.
Yeah, no, I ended up reading it. It's not a live action thing. It's a
cartoon. It's made by their Illumination Studios, the guys that do Despicable Me and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
The Super Mario Brothers animated movie is powering up with an all-star voice cast led by Chris Pratt as the iconic Nintendo character. It now has a North American release date of December 21st, 2022. So obviously they're banking on this as a big holiday movie for next year. Joining Pratt as Mario are Anna Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, Charlie Day as Luigi, Jack Black as Bowser, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Fran Armisen as Cranky Kong, Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek, and Sebastian Maniscalco as Spike. Okay. Super Mario Brothers film hails from Nintendo and Illumination, with Universal distributing in North America and co-financing with Illumination. Its international rollout will be at a later date. The video game giant shared the news during Thursday's Nintendo Direct presentation. Illumination founder Chris Meledandri and Nintendo Shigeru Miyamoto, the legendary creator of Mario, will produce the film. Aaron Horvath and Michael Jelinek, the duo behind Teen Titans Go and Teen Titans Go to the movie, are directing. Great. Oh, God, I'm sorry. Okay.
That's a problem right there.
While the Lego Movie 2, the second part, and Minions, The Rise of Gru screenwriter Matthew Fogel penned the script. Okay, well.
Okay.
Mario and Luigi are two of the most beloved heroes in all popular culture. We are honored to have the unique opportunity to work so closely with Shigeru Miyamoto. I spelled his name wrong. Miyamoto and the widely imaginative team at Nintendo to bring these characters to life in an animated movie unlike any film Illumination has made to date, said Meledandri in a statement. We are collaborating with Chris and his experienced team to not just create a character licensed film, but a new piece of entertainment which brings Super Mario Brothers to life on the screen and allows everyone to enjoy whether or not they know about the game, said Miyamoto in a statement. The production so far is constructive and going very well, and both parties are learning a lot from each other. We humbly ask that fans wait just a little longer for the premiere, and we hope they look forward to seeing the unique characters from Super Mario Brothers on the big screen.
Yeah.
Okay. What does the chat think? I'm cool with most of these voices. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most of them, as you were reading, I'm going, yep, I can see that one. That one makes sense. Jack Black, perfect. Seth Rogen can go fuck himself.
He was just the one that was the worst choice.
Seth Rogen can go fuck himself. But other than that, I'm all for all of this. Now, here's my question.
Yes.
Are Mario and Luigi going to have stereotypical Italian accents?
Okay.
That's going to be a very interesting little minefield for them.
I don't know. Here is how we've seen Mario portrayed in the past, okay? In the old days, you had the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which was a cartoon from the late 80s, early 90s, with Captain Lou Albano doing the voice of Mario.
Oh, my God, that's right!
An older Brooklyn guy, and he would also play him in the live-action segments, okay? Later on, we have the Bob Hoskins movie, which Nintendo hates that movie.
It wasn't a good movie.
I don't.
Although I did like the casting. I did like
casting was good.
Bob Hoskins and what was the kid that played Luigi?
John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo. Yeah, they were great. Yeah.
I thought they were fine. I thought Dennis Hopper as basically the kind of Bowser-esque character in that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing it in the theaters and I was kind of just getting into it. I didn't hate it or anything. But Nintendo doesn't like it.
Honestly, you're right. It wasn't a bad movie, but as a representation of Mario, it was kind of like the He-Man movie to He-Man. You know,
People have called it like a cyberpunk movie.
Kinda, yeah.
I don't know. It's and then we had, of course, when Super Mario 64 came out, we have Charles Martinet, who becomes the video game voice of Mario, and he actually is going to have cameo voices in this movie. Some were complaining, why isn't he just playing the character in the movie?
Sure.
To that answer, I don't know.
I can tell you it's because of contracting. I'll bet you dollars to donuts.
I think Nintendo still insists he be in this movie as other characters.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll have cameos.
And he's probably like, I don't care. I'm getting paid.
He's a very talented voice actor. He showed up in a lot of things. He also said if Nintendo ever decides to give Link a voice in Zelda, he has a Link voice prep for him. But
there you go.
He's a good voice actor. But yeah, Charles Martinet in those games, though, talk about stereotypical Italian accents, but it's all in good fun. Okay.
Yeah, and see, this is my point, and I've said this on so many other things. I consider myself nothing if not intellectually honest. Okay, and through all this SJW BS, right? I have constantly said, as an American of Italian descent, okay, I do not have a big problem with Italian stereotypes, non-Italians playing Italians. Like I've said, we've had Jewish actors playing Italians in The Godfather and so many other movies, right? I do not have an issue. I mean, what's his name? Who was the kid in Godfather 3 that I like so much? Help me out here.
What was it? Godfather 3? For the love of Pete. He played the one who took over, right?
Yeah, he played Sonny's kid. Andy Garcia.
Andy Garcia.
He is he's not a Dago, okay? But I thought he was awesome. I mean, talk about best person for the role. I can't imagine someone better in that role. He did a great job.
Exactly.
You know?
And you have like Steve Buscemi plays an Irish character on that HBO show Boardwalk Empire, but he's
right.
And he's an Italian actor, but he pulled off Irish, okay?
Exactly. And when you got Andy Garcia kind of doing an Italian accent, don't have a problem with it. Do not have a problem with it whatsoever. Now, my concern is Chris Pratt going to be able to pull off a semi-Italian or even a Brooklyn accent?
Here's the thing. Nintendo over the years has argued as to what the true origin of Mario is. The old origin we got from the cartoon was he and Luigi were plumbers in Brooklyn, and they went down a pipe, and they ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom. Okay. And Nintendo's like, it's not canon. No, they always were in that world of the Mushroom Kingdom.
Okay.
I don't know how they got there. I don't know if there's like an Italian area in the Mushroom
I'm telling you, though, you call somebody Mario, he and Luigi, they're fucking Italian, okay?
Well, here's what's funny.
They're paisanos all the way in.
Here's what's funny about those games. In Super Mario 64, the first one with Charles Martinet, when you let Mario stand still for a while, he falls asleep. And then he starts saying stuff like, spaghetti.
Yeah.
Lasagna. Mamma mia.
That's Italian. That's fucking Italian, however you look at it.
But even worse, like, if you won't mind me, in like some of the Game Boy Advance games, like Mario and Luigi, Mario versus Donkey Kong, there was also parts where they were saying, like, it looked like they were speaking Italian gibberish. Like sure. Stuff that maybe wasn't real Italian words meant to sound Italian, like when they were getting angry or talking to each other.
Well, see, that's the thing. They can't have actual swearing, so they're gonna have to make it gibberish.
yeah, but it's
you can't very well have them say "Bava fangul," you know. I mean,
that'd be if it was on PlayStation, okay? Or Xbox.
And the Italians would be like, "Oh, I know what he said." Well, it was the same thing when we went to see Grease, and she says, fangul. And my mom looks at me, and I'm like, I held my hands up. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. The chicks will cream too.
Okay, yeah, Jake. What did Jake say? Jake said he agrees with Troy about Seth Rogen. Melissa Harrison's sons, Jeremy should have been Mario.
Oh shit! He did look the part, didn't he?
I'm not going to say anything. They made such a movie with Ron Jeremy.
It doesn't surprise me.
Does
not surprise me.
I will never watch that thing because it's
yeah. He does he does have a tendency to ruin any scene that he's in.
I don't leave my Nintendo characters alone. Anyway, but my point is, yeah, Teen Titans Go.
Let's just put it this way: Nina Hartley aged a lot better than Ron Jeremy did. That's all I'm going to say.
Anyway, why we have to? Anyway. Let's move on. This is a family show. Anyway.
I'm not necessarily suggesting anyone Google Nina Hartley either. I'm just saying.
Okay. You know. What were we talking about? We were talking about, the Teen Titans Go thing. Yeah, that gives me trepidation.
Yeah, that's kind of scary.
I am going to tell you that Nintendo, at least from the sound of it, is keeping a very close watch on this thing. They treat their IP very seriously. Would somebody say something?
No, was just reminding you we were on Mario Brothers. Get off the prawn talk and back to
Mario Brothers. Yeah, I know. Let's not. Anyway, yes. Anyway, what was I going to say?
It's not Boomer's fault, in fairness.
Well, it related. I should. You know what? I probably
the comments and opinions made by PaPa Pacelli on Geeky Geezers do not necessarily reflect upon Aged Boomer and his brand.
Anyway, what was I talking about here? Anyway, Teen Titans Go. Teen
Titans Go can go as far as I'm concerned.
I like the original Teen Titans, but not the Go series that followed. No,
I like the new Teen Titans. I like Tales of the Teen Titans. I don't like any of the cartoons they've made.
Well, no, the first Teen Titans cartoon show was good. Not the Go series that follows up later, okay?
Yeah.
Yes, it was sort of made for kids and treated with a lighter brush, but it could get serious too. It wasn't what happened with Go later on. That was not...
True.
I don't want to talk about it. Anyway, what was I going to say? What was I talking about?
Teen Titans Go.
I don't know how much the directors are going to matter. They're probably just there for technical expertise. They probably know that Nintendo's keeping a close eye on this thing.
Yeah.
We'll see how it turns out. This is being made
if the artwork is as shit as we've gotten from Go and Ho and
this is going to be
all the other
animated.
no's.
This will be standard Super Mario look, I think. He'll look like he
animated Aquaman and bullshit.
No. It'll be a CG character. He'll look like he does in the games. I'm expecting. I don't like Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, but for all I know, he's just going to be doing growling like, like that, which is probably about what Seth Rogen can do now.
Well, that's about it. All he's capable.
My issue is
of.
He's always taking the wacky tobacco all the time, so I don't know how reliable an actor he is. But the other actors, yeah, they could work. I don't know. We'll see. It'll probably be. I don't know. We have, and I know what I was thinking though with Chris Pratt though, and I was thinking, I know some of you were thinking, what they couldn't get Idris Elba? You know why? Because they can't because he's playing Knuckles the Cheetah in Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Oh, is he?
Yes. Because I was thinking everyone's in this except Idris. Oh, because he's in the Sonic. That's the competing.
And this is what I said. There's contracts to consider too, and this is another thing that all these fucktards that keep talking about their diversity, right? You got to remember there's also contracts out there that need to be, that are obligations, There, you don't get around those just because representation. Well, get it in writing or fuck you.
Yep.
Just saying.
Oh, Mr. Matchstick agrees with me. 2000 Teen Titans series is amazing. Troy, you got to watch it. Here is what I loved. You're
not talking about that live action shit with the Batman thing, are you?
When Justice League came out, they realized that not as many young kids were watching it. So then they made Teen Titans, which was skewed younger. It had like kind of a Tex Avery / anime aesthetic. That's what they called it. And it had its funny moments, but it also had its serious moments too. The first villain, season 1, is Deathstroke, even though they call him Slade. They call him Slade Wilson's name. They just call him Slade on the show, right? And
was Jericho a character?
Who was Jericho?
Slade's son.
No, he didn't show up on it.
Okay.
Okay, but Slade is on it, okay? And all throughout the season, he's messing with the Teen Titans, and Robin is becoming obsessed with this, okay? He has to stop Slade. He hates Slade. He wants to stop Slade.
Mm-hmm.
Later on, you realize that what Slade's big evil plan is. Do you know what it is?
No.
He wants to make Robin his new apprentice. He wants to turn Robin into a villain.
Wow.
That's what he wants to do. It's never been about destroying the city or anything. It's about messing with Robin. And there's this wonderful scene when like he's I think he fights Slade or does something. I already have one father, okay? And then you see like the Wayne Industries logo in the background. You've never seen Bruce Wayne or heard Batman on the show at all, but then you see that little nod there. And
that's pretty good, yeah.
It was a decent cartoon. I liked it. It was skewed younger, but it was still good. And I actually have them on DVD. But Go, I didn't care for Go because Go took it and just made it into I don't know, I guess fart jokes and stuff like that, or I don't know.
Yeah, and that's my problem. I did say this years ago when we first started talking about, how everything was becoming grimdark and how everything was skewing older and how, change with the times, get over it, blah, 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 whatever. And I said, there's a real problem with continually marketing to adults. If you don't market superheroes to kids,
yes,
you are going to have a gap and you are going to end your franchise because eventually the adults are going to die off at worst, and the kids are not interested in the superheroes now because they were not made for the kids, and therefore you're left holding an empty sack again.
Stan Lee complained about that. He said that you should, and I think that was the idea with the
Teen
Titans show.
And that's fine, but unfortunately, there's this mentality that kids are stupid, so we could make bullshit for the kids.
And that's basically what happened because I felt Teen Titans original series was fairly smartly written.
I was kind of having this conversation with Matthew Flynn this morning when we were talking about Ben 10.
Ben 10, right.
And I said, I have loved Ben 10 since he got me watching this show up to this Omniverse. And this Omniverse, they're starting to go back to the beginning and tell stories retrospectively about younger Ben. And they've gotten rid of his cousin and his friend and his grandfather. And it's like, and then they're wondering why people lost interest in this. Well, it's because the fans that grew up with these characters love these characters. You don't get rid of them. And you don't completely undo all the character growth that you've done for these things. And the fact that it's for kids is not an excuse. Kids are not idiots. Kids still notice when things don't fit continuity. And this isn't the way the characters should be acting. They may not be able to verbalize it as eloquently as you and I can, but they understand it. Fred Rogers used to talk about this when he said, you don't talk down to children. And he never did. He said there are things that kids don't understand, so you might have to spend a little bit more time explaining it to them, but they're not stupid.
Yeah, I mean, that was brought up in that Tom Hanks movie where he was playing Fred Rogers too.
Yeah,
and
I still haven't seen that. I really
you'll like it if you
I'm
decide
sure I
to
will.
watch it. Yeah, it's good. You might get a tear in your eye too at some point.
I still do whenever I see pretty much anything that Fred Rogers himself did later in life. He did kind of like an end to his show just before he died. And I can't watch that on YouTube without just freaking ugly crying.
But no, kids are not dumb. This is why I get annoyed with even like with the video games. I'm trying to make them too easy. Oh, it's for the kids, and I'm like, well, kids can enjoy a challenge too. I mean,
yeah. And
it's one thing about having something that's simple to master, hard to get expertise at. That's maybe what I'm thinking of.
I don't have, and we've had this conversation. I don't have a problem with your easy modes, okay? But call it what it is, okay? It's for the lazy person that just is interested in the story and doesn't care about the game.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh.
And I am not judging you for that because I get that way sometimes myself.
Oh, Mr. Messi says they need to make shows for teenagers more often. It's a great in between. Teenagers get ignored.
I'll tell you
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Let me
they really do.
let me say something to. There's way more wisdom in what Mr. Matchstick is saying there
Yeah.
than I think most people realize.
Yeah.
That's why Teen Titans existed in the comics. Okay, and I've read almost the whole run for many years, and what those comics did was establish that these characters that were just thought of as sidekicks were far more interesting than they got credit for when they were in, their adult counterpart stories. Robin did some serious growing up and learning about leadership when he took over the Teen Titans.
Yes.
And there was still a place for Batman to come in and advise him from time to time. This whole idea that sometimes he would go and seek out some advice from Bruce, and Bruce would tell him. And sometimes Robin would turn it around and say, you know what? Maybe you're missing out not being a leader of a team anymore. And that's when they did the spinoff and did Batman and the Outsiders. That was some good writing back then. I'm looking at Perez and Wolfman
Right.
and those greats back then. But they got into some pretty heavy duty storylines, some romance stories. I mean, not stupid, Twilight bullshit. I'm talking real kinds of relationships that teenagers had, the whole feeling like an outsider because of your superpowers or because you look different. That's where Changeling came from. Beast Boy.
Beast Boy, yeah, he was on the cartoon, yeah.
And him having to deal with the fact that, when he turned into a human, he couldn't have a private life because he was very clearly Beast Boy. He was green, and everyone knew it and knew who he was. Yeah. And if anyone saw him with, Dick Grayson, that would out him as Robin, so he could only be seen with Robin, and anyone who had a public identity. It was some interesting stories that they told there. And you can argue that, Marvel did this long before with the X-Men. You wouldn't be wrong there. But there's value in the fact that they did it with the Teen Titans too. And they did it with Spider-Man too. Spider-Man was always dealing with teenager problems.
Yep.
And they were good stories too, and some serious ones too. For all of Spider-Man's snappy one-liners, and I got to tell you, there was a period in there when I would laugh so hard I'd be holding my sides, with some of those Spider-Man stories. But then at the same time, he'd have some very serious concerns about his aunt. When she finally died, I was in tears, because Aunt May died, But then they brought her back, and oh God, don't even get me started on that.
Yeah, no one's ever truly gone, right? Yeah, okay.
Well, I mean, there have been some holy grails, right? I mean, there's when they killed off Bruce Wayne's parents, they stay dead. They have to stay dead because they're an integral part of his origin,
Yeah.
Gwen Stacy. Well, I guess Gwen Stacy didn't stay dead. Well, no, they only cloned her. When she died, she died.
Oh, for the love of Pete, they. But yeah, what were we talking about though? But yeah, basically, Teen Titans, I wish would get more respect over at DC. I mean, I haven't watched the live action series. I think it might have improved, but I don't know. I have not been watching it. Okay, but the cartoon I liked until it went with the Go. But should we go to the next story?
Go for it.
All right. Aspyr is bringing the classic BioWare RPG Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic to the Nintendo Switch. I believe, I think it was asked if it's coming to the Game Boy. Not coming to Nintendo Game Boy, but it's coming to Nintendo Switch. And I got a little confused by this. I'm like, is this that remake they're making? No. That's a PlayStation 4 exclusive. The original game is coming out on Nintendo Switch. This must be a port. Star Wars fans got quite surprised during the latest Nintendo Direct with Aspyr lifting the lid on its Switch port of BioWare's iconic role-playing game, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. It'll be arriving on November 11th. A beloved Star Wars game is coming to Nintendo Switch. Blast off to captivating planets and join forces with Jedi, droids, and outcasts. In this blend of action, role-playing, and adventure, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic launches for Nintendo Switch on November 11th. Pre-orders for the game start later today. According to Nintendo's official game page, pre-orders are now open. It'll set you back $14.99 or your regional equivalent, and apparently requires a whopping 15.6 gigabytes of space. That's the one thing I don't like about the Switch. You have to store the stuff on SD cards when you buy them digitally, and they're not as big as hard drives. Okay, but yeah, I'm kind of curious.
I have terabytes of space. That would not be a problem for me.
Anyway. This is kind of odd because Aspire, the company making the remake, we talked about them a couple weeks ago. Do they have the rights now to also do whatever they want with the original as far as porting it to new machines now? Is that what I'm getting from this?
I don't know. I don't know. Right?
Will this be altered from the original version? That's another thing I want to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
when it comes to video games and licensing rights in relationship to them, I don't know.
This was very interesting to me though, because it's like they must own this. Do they own? They I guess they own the original game as well, because this used to be a BioWare game. Now apparently they have it, or they're at least releasing.
Yeah,
the original,
and I'm wondering if this is a very interesting licensing agreement with Lucasfilm, where Lucasfilm says, yeah, sure, we'll make our money off of you, and we'll make our money off of these guys remaking it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's kind of Lucasfilm having their cake and eating it too. This kind of really softens the blow for the remake, because this is what you said. I'm quoting Aged Boomer here. You were like, I don't care. I just want to be able to have my original, unsullied. Well, here it is.
You say Unsullied, and we're going to see, because remember, this is probably, I don't know if this is maybe it's just a port. So
and keep in mind, port probably infers some changes because you have to, just because of the medium, right?
Because I'll explain to you, the one that's available on the Xbox that you can buy in your Xbox One now, that's actually the original Xbox version that came out on the original Xbox. Now, of course, kudos to Microsoft. I think when these things do get made backwards compatible, they beef up the graphics a bit. I mean, they don't totally redo it, but they clean things up and they make things a little more compatible. So it's not like you're just getting you're getting some quality of life improvements as well sometimes with these backwards compatible. But essentially, it is the same game. On PC, when you get it on your PC, I'm assuming it's the same game that got released on PC back in the day as well, maybe boosted up, because if they didn't do it, I'm sure fans have done stuff with it for PC. So this is an original port, so I'm kind of curious, and this is being done by the people making the remake. Will they make changes? I don't know. Like now with this, I don't think they would be adding content, but if there's something that maybe would be found offensive now, would they take it out of this port? Maybe.
You got me on that.
This has happened with other games, like I remember when Final Fantasy VI got re-released on the Game Boy Advance. They did cut a lot of they cut down a couple of the more violent scenes that were in the original Super Nintendo version, and this sort of thing happened. So, are you going to be getting the pure original version? I don't know. But
in all honesty, you're talking to somebody who has done modding on his games for years. You can go into the code, you can take out whatever they've put into it, and pull out the original graphics or whatever, or you could download an aftermarket mod to replace it or whatever.
I guess what I'm saying is I don't completely trust Aspire just based on that hiring decision we announced a few weeks ago, but I'm going to be interested to see if any of this is altered, and trust me, people will find out. Okay,
yeah, I mean,
when this comes out. If that'll be a taste of things to come, I don't know. All right.
I mean, I'm sure that the questions you're asking, you intend them as hypotheticals. I don't know enough to be able to answer these questions. It'll just have to be, we'll wait and see.
But if you have a Nintendo Switch and wanted to play Knights of the Old Republic and don't want to play the awful PlayStation 4 exclusive remake, well, maybe it'll be fine. I'm saying it's awful. I'm sure it'll be just dandy. I'm kidding, of course.
Exactly.
Anyway, moving on to Ghostbusters news.
Yep. I threw these in here. We don't have to spend a lot of time on them because there's not a lot of big news here.
I like
but
this article though.
but I am a little bit excited about it. Yeah, go ahead.
This is a cool little. No, I want to announce this because the people in the chat may be interested. Ghostbusters Afterlife will begin holding theaters on November 19th, 2021, and the first wave of rave reviews from movie critics suggests we're all in for a treat later this year. Critic Scott Menzel tweeted, "Ghostbusters Afterlife is the Ghostbusters sequel that I've been waiting all my life to see. It's nostalgia done right." Yeah, we've heard that.
That's kind of a backhanded thing against the 2016 movie too.
Let's be. Oh. It's an opinion returning star Sigourney Weaver agrees with. Weaver is back as Dana Barrett in the sequel to the original classics. The character she played in both the original films. Interesting. So she's back.
Yeah.
We were focusing on the other returning actors, but we forgot about her. Okay.
Exactly. I had said that because of the toys, we already know, even though there's been no official announcement, there's been no interview, there's been nothing. We know Bill Murray is coming back. We know Bill Murray is going to be in uniform. Okay? He's definitely coming back. We know this because you could call it spoilers, because toys oftentimes spoil elements of movies that haven't been released yet. I had not seen anything about Sigourney Weaver's character, though. But this kind of confirms it, that she's coming back. So that in and of itself is another thing. So, yay. Sigourney Weaver's coming back as Dana. And she's got great things to say about the movie.
Okay.
And she hasn't, done the typical Hollywood thing of crapping all over it by injecting some sort of politics. In fact, nobody involved in Ghostbusters Afterlife has pissed anybody off with anything that they've said.
Yes, which
it's amazing that this is big news, right?
And like I said, like getting back to Cowboy Bebop, I have trepidation. I have I'm not thrilled with this new series, but if one of their actresses had kept her mouth shut and you had just had the John Cho article come out and then dropped the intro, people might be a little more excited for what's coming about, rather than, I think also one of the producers was running his mouth about stuff I didn't like either. So
yeah,
I'm saying there's a way to promote things, and that's not woke marketing. It's just, hey, you like this thing? We're making it good again, okay?
Yeah, and that's just it. Nothing about Ghostbusters Afterlife has been anti-woke either. It's been completely neutral, and that's the way it should be.
But here's the thing. They act like we had a problem with them introducing new characters in Star Wars movies, or the fact that you'd have even Rey as like a heroine with a lightsaber. That wasn't what I had a problem with. I had a problem with the fact they spent their time tearing down the characters you loved and spending no time establishing original characters.
Well, everybody is excited.
It's like, okay, yeah.
Everybody is excited about Annie Potts. Everybody's just, in every reaction video to the trailer where Annie Potts was in it, everyone's like, it's Annie Potts, she's coming back. And now people are getting excited about Sigourney Weaver. Okay. Yep. Everybody loves the girls in the promos and everything. The Egon's granddaughter and the other girl, and nobody has a problem with this. Nobody has a problem with the diverse characters.
No, it's fine. And I have to say,
a Hispanic boy and a black girl. Nobody has said boo about this.
No, because these are the
and nobody said boo about this. Did you see what I did there?
By the way, check out the cover, the Empire magazine cover, and the link. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's going to go on sale.
And this was
September. Yeah.
Again, this was not a big thing, but I did want to mention it.
Oh, wait, that's the next article.
It is the next article, but that's fine. I mean, these two go hand in hand, okay? That Empire article is not a big deal, but again, this is another example of good promotion for an upcoming film. Keeping the interest, and keeping Ghostbusters in the mind's eye of everybody. Nobody's forgetting about this, especially with all the costumes coming out and the re-release of the proton packs from, at Party City and everything. It's, or is it Party City or Spirit Halloween? I'm sorry, Spirit Halloween.
Yeah.
And it's like literally every week we're getting some new piece of marketing. And then you have this Empire article kind of celebrating it. This is all good marketing. This is an example of how marketing should be done. And I got to tell you, I really believe that Ghostbusters Afterlife is going to blow out, so-called pandemic records. It's going to set the bar back up again.
I have to say, I think it's fastly becoming the movie I want to see the most this year. I'll
Yeah.
say that. Because busting makes us feel good, this month's Empire is dedicated to Ghostbusters with a world-exclusive celebration of the iconic original and new movie at Ghostbusters Afterlife, cover illustrated by... It's a cool-looking cover, actually, if you check it out. I
Yeah.
might buy this magazine if I see it. This might
I'm
be a cool
kind of
collectible.
wondering
Yeah.
if there's still any trolls out there that are still trying to stump for the 2016 abortion, because I don't see it anywhere on the socialist media anywhere. But it's like maybe these people have learned to read the room. That anyone who's still supporting that travesty is pretty much a laughing stock.
It's just, this is what movies are supposed to be. Okay,
Yep.
This is what your Hollywood blockbuster is supposed to be. It's supposed to be, cherishing the past, but also giving us something new to enjoy. And that's what this is. This is what movies used to be about. Instead of just
Yep.
crapping on everything and giving us something we don't want. Okay,
Yep,
it's
yep.
just So I'm actually looking forward to this. I wish them the best, and I hope this turns out well, and I think it will. All signs point this is going to be one worth seeing. So yeah.
Yep.
Nothing but good things to say about Ghostbusters Afterlife. I want to see it though.
Oh yeah,
so
I'm really looking. Well, I'm Netter and I are going in full costume. We're
that's
going
gonna
to be
cool.
there.
You should do a video after you see it, maybe like a first reactions. No spoilers, obviously, but yeah,
I will. I absolutely will. No doubt about it.
But more interesting news this week, Doctor Who. Now, of course, I'm thinking these days nothing really interesting to say about Doctor Who anymore, but this is sort of interesting. Let me read from this article. BBC has announced former Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies will return to helm the sci-fi drama. Award-winning writer Davies brought the show back in 2005 before quitting in 2009. I say quitting like I quit and I don't want to do this anymore. It's more like I've done my
I'll
run,
bet
it's
you
time for
that's
somebody
exactly
else.
what's happening.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now
I
he will-
think that both he and Jodie were so fed up. It was like, we got to get the fuck out of here.
Well, no, Chibnall, yes.
Yeah.
So they were saying Davies quit. I don't think. I think it was.
Oh,
more like
Davies.
he just-
Well, Davies did quit though. He had personal things going on, and that's why he left.
Oh, so it was okay because I didn't think it was Doctor related because everybody loved his run. Okay.
Oh
but-
yeah, and he loved doing it. He had some things happen in his personal life, and he needed to step away. And for the longest time, he wasn't doing much of anything. He's gone through some personal tragedies, and
Okay, that's too bad.
yeah, and I feel for him, and I get where he's coming from, but I'm glad to see him coming back. Sure.
Yeah, he said in a statement, "I'm beyond excited to be back on my favorite show, but we're time traveling too fast. There's a whole series of Jodie Whittaker's brilliant Doctor for me to enjoy with my friend and hero Chris Chibnall at the helm. I'm still a viewer for now, and I want to say that well, you know
Yeah.
what? I will not speak for Davies. Who knows what his true thoughts are?
Well,
but
and
man,
this is. But we can comment on exactly what a lot of fans are thinking right now about that. And that's like, oh, so in other words, you're going to come back and you're such a big fan of what they've done and you're just going to continue what they've been doing. So who gives a shit? And that may be true. Okay.
I mean, that's what's going on.
He may mean 100% what he says, but at the same time, if he doesn't really feel that way, what else is he going to say? Don't worry, guys, I'm coming back. I got this. These guys fucked everything up, and I'm going to set everything back. He can't do that.
They messed with the continuity he set up. So, no, he's not going to be... I don't think he's happy about this. I can't speak for him. I don't know what's in his head. I know that this strikes me as... What's she saying?
Netter's over there doing the Mighty Mouse. Here he comes to save the day.
My point is that I think he's saying this almost as it almost feels like a Trojan horse sort of thing. Do you understand?
Look, this is the same thing I said about Dave Filoni years ago when people, caught him on a mic, talking to a women's group about, SJW bullshit. And it's like, look, if you're going to hold this against him, you're a dumbass.
Well, to be fair, even I was at the time. So, I mean, I was like, oh, really? But I didn't know too much about the Clone
I think
Wars or anything
you've
like that.
seen the way the world actually works, and you're a little bit wiser than you were back then.
A little bit, yeah.
And unfortunately, some people never learn and never grow up. But that, if you don't say the things that you need to say and keep your job, you won't be around to fix things later on.
He wants to get this job. He'll say whatever he needs to say. The BBC can put whatever spot of his in, because obviously the BBC wants people to be watching this final season with Jodie Whittaker, even though she's leaving, because they want the ratings.
I have no idea what the current situation in Davy's life is. I don't know if he needs the money. I don't know if he needs to get back to work. I don't know to what extent he desperately wants to work on Doctor Who.
I think he wants to work on Doctor Who.
He probably does, because it was a labor of love for him for all the years that he did.
He cared enough to bring it back. And here's the thing. He's not the man who created Doctor Who. But sometimes you get people involved in stuff that actually really do care about what they've inherited, okay?
Right.
Like one of my favorite video game series was Castlevania, and there was a developer, I call him Iga for short, Iga Rushi, I think is his name, but he didn't create Castlevania, but he kind of helmed the series for a number of years and created a lot of the lore that then kind of he got kicked out later on. But and now he's doing his own game series, which is basically a lot like Castlevania, just not in name only, and it's really good. But the point is that, you sometimes get people that understand what they've inherited and want to treat it well. I might argue probably Jon Favreau feels the same way about Star Wars, so we just have to wait and see. I don't know, can he fix the mess that Chibnall has made? That's
absolutely
the question.
Absolutely. I'm gonna cite the things that I have pointed out as other fans have. We're dealing with a time travel based story. We're also dealing with what's that literary term? An unreliable narrator in the Master. Remember, all the things that we have found objectionable about the change in canon is all just secondhand report from the point of view of the Master, right? And all it takes is for the Doctor to get her head out of her fanny and figure out, let me actually check the source and not believe, the Master's fact checker and find out that, no, it's not the way he's been saying, Well,
we'll see.
Or it may even be more eloquent than that. It may even be more clever than that, because in his run, Russell T Davies has come up with some really brilliant story ideas that I didn't see coming, that were just brilliant.
I'm going to be curious to see how this turns out, because it's almost like if, I don't want to use that comparison, it's not quite right, but if you get the wokeified version of something, and then the guy that created it comes back or something and tries to fix it, what's it going to be like? I don't want to say it's going to be like if George Lucas came back to Star Wars.
Well, there's a lot going on behind the scenes that we don't see, and without knowing it, it's hard to comment. Why are they bringing him back? To what extent is he being given carte blanche? I mean, is this a situation where the BBC is saying, Russell, please fix this. We don't care what you do, just do it.
Has to be. Why would they bring him back then otherwise?
Well, the other possibility is, you know what? If you come back and put your blessing on it and just maintain the status quo, maybe the fans will agree with it because you said so.
No, because they could just have him do that anyway. I think they were having what's his name, the last showrunner was saying, "Oh, it's interesting things they're doing." Yeah, okay, yeah, you're full, and they get a different BBC show, okay, and probably Davies. That's what they would do. No, if they want him
Well,
on Doctor Who, he's being brought.
Stephen Moffat does not have the fan capital that Russell
No.
does, because by the end of his run, the fans were not happy with him either.
No, well, he had a lot of problems. He would intentionally troll the fans. There were things I liked about the Moffat era and things I did not like about the Moffat era. Like I actually thought the two actors he picked were good actors for the play of Doctor, which was they weren't always in the best stories, unfortunately, but they were good as the Doctor. Okay, and I wish Matt Smith had been in some better stories, but I did not. Especially, I think that final Capaldi season, I tapped out, and that was after I'd learned about Whittaker taking over. I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah,
and maybe it was better than maybe I should go back and give it a revisit. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Look, even the worst Capaldi era stories were better than the best Jodie Whittaker stories.
No, I'm sorry. I knew everything about this. I had a bad feeling from the get-go, and it got even worse, and I'm like, I'm done. I don't blame you. People say I don't. I'm like, I'm not some person that's a blind fan. I went scorched earth on Doctor Who for a while. It's like I'm like Tevier at the end in Fiddler on the Roof, with the one daughter. I'm like, no tradition, I can't.
Yeah.
And he finally put the wall up. Now, can Davies bring me back? That's a big story. I don't know, but if anybody could, it would be him.
I'll tell you what. A lot of fans keep pushing to find out that Jodie Whittaker was the tangent doctor that became the Valyard. That could be a brilliant story if they do that.
I don't want her as a doctor. I'm sorry. I don't care. It's funny, and it's funny too because I often thought it's because they made her a woman. But Missy came after the Master, but I liked Missy because you got a really good actress playing her. So
and she did it brilliantly, and she had a great story arc too.
I think they could have just made her.
And I feel like they shat all over that Missy version. I mean, nothing against the kid that they had take over the role, but his story completely shat all over everything that went before it. So
I've heard he is one of the better actors on the show, though, because I think he takes the Master seriously. Yeah,
he is an excellent actor, but that doesn't help what he was given to work with.
Well, no,
I mean, I can't blame him for the fact that it makes absolutely zero sense that Missy's dead and somehow the Master still is around.
You know what I'll do? If I still have access to BBC America when the Davies version premieres, I'll watch it. And I'll see how it turns out, okay? I'll give it a fair shake, okay? But they have a lot of goodwill to bring back, but maybe this is the start. Anyway, speaking of goodwill that's been lost...
Yeah.
By the way, hold on. Zitobi had a comment on the Ghostbusters. I saw Leslie Jones complain about the backlash a week or so ago. She was saying it was all because we couldn't handle having women in the roles. That was the Ghostbusters.
That's because the woman's got no fucking brains between her ears. Okay. Anyway. She doesn't know how to read the room. That argument is weaker than shit. It really is. Because like I just said, there's nobody having a problem with the girls that are playing Ghostbusters in this new movie. Yeah. The problem was not the women. The problem was shitting all over canon and it not being a true sequel. If it had been a true sequel where Vinkman and the boys,
some people may
take on these girls as proteges and turn it over to them and nobody would have had a problem with it.
People also made the argument in the first Ghostbusters movie, they say franchise is available. This could have been them opening up a franchise in a different city, like Chicago or something, They could have done that.
Absolutely.
And it could have been the all-women team, but no.
If they were really smart about it, they'd have had it be the, San Francisco Ghostbusters. Because then you don't have to film on location cross-country. Or the Los Angeles Ghostbusters. Even better.
Anyway, speaking of companies clueless about fans, oh man, Fantastic Beasts 3. I'm sorry, I got to get through this.
Yeah.
Fantastic Beasts 3 is officially
Just remember, there's certain names you're not allowed to mention on YouTube. He's the pirate guy.
Okay. It's officially titled The Secrets of Dumbledore, and it's coming to theaters much sooner than expected. Warner Brothers confirmed the film's title and announced that its release date has been moved up by 3 months and will be the third entry in the fantastical franchise, now scheduled to open in theater April 15, 2022, as opposed to July 15th. Warner Brothers shifts its dates around. Anyway, maybe it might be because of the HBO Max thing they're doing. Okay.
Could
First
be.
plot details for Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore have been shared by an official logline, which reads, Professor Albus Dumbledore knows the powerful dark wizard Gellert Grindelwald is moving to seize control of the wizarding world. Unable to stop him alone, he entrusts magizoologist Newt Scamander to lead an intrepid team of wizards, witches, and one brave muggle baker on a dangerous mission where they encountered old and new beasts and clashed with Grindelwald's growing legion of followers. But with the stakes so high, how long can Dumbledore remain on the sidelines? You know what this series is echoing for me? The Star Wars prequels.
Sure.
It like good world building. There is good world building.
I agree. One thing that I really like
so much like the characters. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's
what I really liked about the first two movies was the setting. I loved this, I don't know what you'd call it, this Art Deco-ish,
It was the American New York Wizarding World.
Yeah.
At the sea in the first one. And it's interesting how Rowling shows
especially when you consider that, we know that there are schools all over the world. This is the kind of thing where, every fan can imagine their own Wizarding World set within their own community.
Country, yeah. The Wizarding World in America, in the United States, is different than the wizarding community in England.
And I love the little bit of intrigue, as though there was something with the government and all that kind of stuff, which makes sense.
It was clever how the wizarding community over there has a death penalty, and they use the pensive as a means of like the electric chair, which I thought was interesting, because it has a different use in the United States, which I thought was interesting. It was interesting, the world building. But we have some problems with this series. One, people were not thrilled with the last movie. And probably the one thing they did like was a certain actor cast as the villain, who is not showing up in the sequel because reasons I don't know why, and people are not happy about this third movie. Okay?
Yeah, uneven. How would you put it? Rules for he and not for she. Let's put it that
ridiculous.
way.
It was ridiculous. Okay, and they still had to pay him anyway. We talked about this months ago. It was previously announced, though, that Fantastic Beasts is also now to be a 5-part series of films, after it was extended from its original 3-film run. I missed. Sorry, everybody. This was supposed to be a trilogy, not a 5-part series. And I think Warner Brothers is actually very clueless as to the popularity of this series and how well this movie is going to do, especially with the recasting. I like Mads Mikkelsen, okay? He's a good actor.
I will
but
say
he wasn't
that
the actor who was cast in the role, and it's not like the actor in the role passed away. He was kicked out for spurious reasons. Okay?
It is a franchise, okay? And I understand them branching it out, prequels. There's a lot of space to
popular.
Hear me out.
Okay.
Hear me out. Okay. It is incredible. The franchise, the Harry Potter franchise, is still incredibly popular with its fans.
Yes.
Okay. And this idea of filling in a gap from where they are in a prequel right up to the period where Harry Potter is taking place, there are stories to be told there. They could do a Harry Potter prequel with his parents, and there's lots of stories to be told in there. They can have stories from all over the world, from different wizarding schools if they want to, from all kinds of different types. The world could possibly be their oyster if they so choose. However, the way they fucked over the pirate guy is going to burn their asses. People are pissed about this.
They are.
And there are people that will not see this movie specifically because of this. Mads, whoever the Mikkelsen guy is, nobody gives a crap about. The fact that he ain't the pirate guy, fuck them.
If he had been the original actor, it wouldn't be as bad. But he's the replacement, and after already, I think Colin Farrell, right? Saying his name right? I'm not getting confused with the comedian. I always seem to confuse him with the comedian. He was the original guy, but it turned out it wasn't him because he had taken that disguise potion that they used in those
and
polyjuice. Yes, okay, and
it's right up there with the own physical media. I have gotten for Nanette. I'm not that big a fan. I've gotten every single Harry Potter film for her. Mm-hmm. I've gotten the first two Fantastic Beasts film for her. I will not get the next movie. I will not.
Yeah, I have a feeling this is not. They needed to wrap this up. See, I thought they were just going to wrap it up and cut it as a loss. I didn't realize they're expanding this out to 5 movies. This is not smart. I don't know what they're thinking.
Again, like
because
we've
what
said
I thought
about
they were going to do was they were going to then do a sequel movie series with Harry and Hermione and Ron as adults. I think Rowling would be involved in that too,
we have said about so many other things. Announcing they're planning to do something and actually doing it are not the same thing. They can announce it, and then when this tanks, they're going to have to reevaluate.
They're clueless as to what they've done here with that recasting. They're
going to learn. They're going to frickin' learn.
And it's funny. Rowling is always under fire because of the whole fact that she's a British feminist and she has different thoughts on, including certain members in it's this whole that's another
wrong think. No, wrong think. You cannot support somebody because of their wrong think.
Well, she has wrong think, even though I would consider her a leftist, but she has wrong think on this one issue, and that gets the SJWs on her case all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's just okay. But I think we talked about this last week, didn't we? Hellraiser new cast members head to Belgrade as filming begins. Did you have anything else to say about it, though?
No, this was this was just the newest piece about them actually beginning filming.
Yeah, we talked about this.
No, we didn't. We were talking obliquely about the plans, not that it had actually happened.
Oh,
and we were also talking about the fact that this is a complete reboot of Hellraiser. This is going back to basics. This is, a lot of people are really bothered by, the fact that there seems to be a gender swapping of the Hell Priest, and the fact is, that's fine if all you know is the Hellraiser movies, that would be problematic for you. But Clive Barker wrote The Hellbound Heart before it was ever turned into a movie, and the Hell Priest is specifically described as androgynous. The people that witnessed the Hell Priest could not tell if the Hell Priest was male or female.
Yeah.
So.
But they're over in Belgrade now shooting this, right? I think that was
so
what
now
it said.
It's actually happening, and that was the other big thing. And that's why this is important to me. Mm-hmm. Until they start filming, it's not really happening, Like I was just saying about the previous one. You announce something and you say when you're planning to start filming, that's really good. But until you've got some footage in the can, I don't see it moving forward. Now that they are actually getting on a plane, going to Belgrade and starting to, put things on film, okay, now it actually is happening, right?
Yeah. And it's sources say knowledge with knowledge of the production tell us that Odessa Azan, Brandon Flynn, and Drew Starkey are now in Belgrade, Serbia. Okay, and it's going to be based on the Hellbound Heart. Now, I am going to say this. Sometimes we think, this is just another remake. Well, you could argue it's an adaptation of the same material. So is that really a remake? I don't know.
And keep in mind too, this is more analogous to. It's not the same, but it's analogous to George Lucas and his special editions, right? He claims, This is more in line with what my original vision was, right? And technically it's the same thing. Clive Barker was the guy behind, he wrote Hellbound Heart. He was behind that first couple films, right? So any changes that were made were changes he made at the time. You know, by casting Doug Bradley, that was a choice he made at the time. But at the same time, I would say this isn't like George Lucas, who after the fact said, well, I meant to do this, that, and the other. This is him saying, well, this is how I wrote it. Here's the story. It's been in publication ever since, you know, I first published it. It's been out there. I want to restart this. And you could also look at the body of Hellraiser films and go, it kind of needs a reboot. It really got away from you there.
You didn't like Hellworld?
There, I'll tell you what I liked. I liked the first 4 movies.
Yes.
I liked the last movie.
Okay.
Everything in between was shit.
Yeah, I liked the 4th movie, even though that I think that became another Alan Smithy film. You know what I mean? But I thought there were really good ideas in that because it shows.
Actually, I would even say the 4th movie should have been 3 movies in and of themselves.
Yeah, but
that should have been 3 movies.
It was fascinating how you go over time periods, you know,
Yeah.
and maybe they could have done that individually in films, but yeah, I don't know, but I'm trying to think though. Yeah, I don't know. I'll give it a shot. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, horror's hit and miss, right?
Now, for those people that are all concerned about SJW and this and that, guys, this is one of those things where the SJW messaging was part and parcel of it from the beginning if you were paying attention. You know, we're talking about sadomasochistic demons from another dimension here, okay? Written and directed by a gay man, okay, who has specifically said a big part of what he was getting out there was the other that he felt in his life.
Right.
You know, and dealing with some of his own issues. And when you look at that, I find it incredibly fascinating. Okay? This is what I would consider a good use of a medium to deal with social justice issues. I have never believed that these things have no place. You know, in the same people that say Star Trek has always dealt with social issues, yes, they have. And in the past, they've dealt with them very well. More recently, not so much.
Oh, Melissa Harris says she loves Disc-Head and Piston-Head and the fire-breathing Cenobite. Remember those? I remember those.
They were a very different breed of Cenobite. They really were. I see what she's saying there, and I do have to admit there are some things I like about them. But at the same time, I always had the feeling that they were bargain basement, unsanctioned Cenobites. Okay, this was a progression of the Hell Priest who had broken off from Hell, who was no longer mired by the rules and was doing his own thing and creating what I consider unsanctioned Cenobites. So from the point of view of a slasher horror film, I think they are great Cenobites. From the point of view of the Hell of Leviathan, from the lore of Hellraisers, not so good, but still a good story. I would have loved to have seen where that story ultimately went to. We never really got a resolution on that story arc of the Hell Priest.
No. But we'll see how this new production turns out. Like I said, keep finding new stories on it. We'll keep posting them, you know?
Yep. And you know what? If you really want to hear more about my opinions on the Hellraiser series in general, over on Mr. Matchstick's channel a week from Tuesday, A Cultural Fortress starts up again, and I'll be talking about it.
All right. Yeah, I think I'll be on that stream too. I got to find out what time that's going to be at because I don't get out of work till 8. So, but I'll talk to him. Yeah. First look at Batman Beyond's new cyberpunk solo DC Comics series, The Batman Must Go Beyond.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about this until you shared it with me.
I'll just read it. Today in the pages of Batman Urban Legends #7, the future hero known as Batman Beyond returned to DC Comics with the battle of his life. In this new story, Terry McGinnis was tasked with finding out who killed his mentor, Bruce Wayne, and discovered plenty of new secrets about the city, about his city in the process. Now, with the legacy of Batman resting squarely on his shoulders, Terry McGinnis is embarking on the next chapters in his adventures in Neo Gotham. As teased on the final page of Urban Legends stories, next year will bring the launch of Batman Beyond Neo Year, a 6-issue miniseries from writers Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing and artist Max Dunbar. Same creative team that brought Terry back to solve Bruce's murder. Excuse me. Drawing inspiration from classic noir stories like Batman Year One and Batman The Long Halloween, Neo Year will feature Terry as he sets out to rebuild the Batman legacy for himself, even as the very heart of Neo Gotham seeks to oppose him at every turn. This is the long-awaited next chapter in Terry McGinnis' life, one where he must learn what becoming Batman means to him in a city that doesn't want to be saved. Lansing told Sci-Fi Wire, "We're digging into the noir tradition of Batman Year One and Long Halloween." Okay, to push Terry past the lessons Bruce gave him and into a tradition defined by his own character and the strange new Gotham in which he operates. What's past his prologue, this Batman must go beyond. What do you think? Any thoughts? I don't know.
I honestly
Is this
just
like
don't
a
know
what if story? I mean, is this? It was featured in a thing called Urban Legends. So is this like a possible what if tale for Batman? Here's the thing. Go ahead.
I'll be honest. I have never really, and actually, I think Mr. Matchstick would be a great one to pick his brain on this. I am not entirely certain where Batman Beyond falls as far as continuity goes. First, keep in mind that Batman Beyond started out as a kind of sequel to the Batman animated series. Okay. Yes. So one could argue that if it is canon with Batman the Animated Series, it's outside the movies, it's outside the comic books, it's its own kind of thing. On another way of looking at it, it could just be an Elseworld too, just like Dark Knight Returns is to the comic book Batman, so is Batman Beyond to the animated series. I don't know what their intent was with that. So that makes it that much harder for me to reconcile what they're doing with this.
Batman Beyond, originally the idea was pitched that they were going to do a series about a young Bruce Wayne starting out as Batman. But that morphed into Batman Beyond about a younger character in the future becoming the Batman and having Bruce Wayne as the mentor.
Gotcha.
I did used to watch it back in the day. I guess it still has its fans. It's very weird because you're giving Bruce Wayne a set future on this show, right?
Right.
And this is how he ends up. But do we want the future set for Bruce Wayne? Is this a possible future? But we like a lot of aspects of Batman Beyond. Like, I argued that Terry McGinnis in some ways was a easier character to follow than Bruce Wayne because at least he seemed more... a little more interesting to me. But
it kind of taps into the whole, do you continually update the characters so that they never age and they're always modern? Or do you go with the, multi-Earth, every generation starts the characters over again? And if that's the case, then you kind of are okay with taking an older version of the character and progressing them into the future, right? I refer back to the Earth 1, Earth 2, World War II era, superheroes, and then, the modern era superheroes, and then, you keep progressing on. Now that kind of a multiverse can collapse under its own weight, and you end up with Crisis on Infinite Earths. But then you're left with the problems that the multiverse was created to fix in the first place, and you still got to deal with that. So if you decide, for example, going back to my, fixing the DC cinematic universe, if you're going to retell these stories starting with Superboy, Smallville in the late 80s, right? And you're going to progress to Metropolis, Superman in the 90s, into a Justice League by the end of the 90s, Batman and Robin, and then you start to get another generation in the 2000s with your Teen Titans and your whatevers, right? Then maybe by 2020, 2030, you start looking at future storylines where you have, yes, a set future. But we've watched it in a progression. We are continuing along with these characters and then extending them out into the future,
Wouldn't it have been interesting if they did a Batman Beyond movie now and had Michael Keaton as the Bruce Wayne mentor and maybe set it in
There's been talk about that.
It might have been kind of interesting and set it in the future of the Burton universe. That might have been kind of interesting. I don't know. Anyway, but I don't know. But he says that the Matchstick says these new comics are Elseworlds. They're not DCAU, and I think they kind of say that it's an urban legends, which. Who knows? I have not been keeping up with DC Comics. I know that there were a lot of
I didn't know for sure. So thanks Matchstick.
I don't know. Maybe this will be worth a read. I find it shocking they killed off Bruce Wayne, but again, it's in the Batman Beyond comic book, and who knows if there are Elseworlds within Batman Beyond? I don't know. So I don't know. It's weird because Batman Beyond. Do people want more of that or not? That's what I'm curious about because. I've never seen Warner Brothers want to touch it again. They did release it on Blu-ray a couple years ago, with some of the episodes not able to be
My impression has always been
actually.
that the fans loved it.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised they haven't done anything else with it.
I liked it, and I had issues with it as well. For starters, they introduced this villain in the first season called Blight, who I thought was going to be his arch nemesis the rest of the series, and then he gets, I guess his son does a conspiracy and sends him to the bottom of Gotham Harbor. And I kept figuring, he going to come back in the future. He never showed up again. Okay, so they kind of dropped Derek Powers as like the big villain. I guess you could consider Return of the Joker the big finale for that series.
This was always my problem.
But, yeah,
this was my problem with the Tim Burton Batman. If you keep killing off all your villains, you're going to have a really hard time building a franchise off of that.
Well, they didn't kill him off. I figured he would just be back. Batman even inferred, he's going to come back after you. But we never saw him again. And there were good episodes of the show. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it's classic DC animated universe. I love the April Moon episode. That's one of my favorites. It's almost like an EC comic. I don't know. We'll see. I guess this might be worth checking out if you're into Batman Beyond. So there we go.
Yep.
Need to be refined. And to be fair, I think that was part of the issue. When they were working on Superman and Batman, they could basically pull from the best of the comics over 50 years and tweak what they needed to. Batman Beyond, they were kind of starting from scratch. Okay? In fact, I think they even reused some DC villains that weren't used and just stuck them in the future. Like, I think Shriek, which was a guy that used sound waves. I think he was a current era DC comic book character, but they stuck him in the Batman Beyond future,
Yeah.
But yeah, no, to be fair though, it was one of my favorite cartoons. I'm not trying to knock it or anything. So it's just with everything going on at Warner Brothers, I don't know what they're doing these days.
I'm not sure they
but
do.
Maybe I'll say this though, maybe this comic book is they're just ignoring it because it's Batman Beyond, and maybe it'll be good and they'll be left alone. I don't know.
We'll see.
Okay, I think that's it for this week. Any other thoughts? What do you got going on this week?
Let's see. Monday, Tuesday. Matchstick, we don't have anything this week, right? Not until next
Following week.
And Wednesday, Birdman?
Not Wednesday. I believe we're
Thursday.
doing a stream on Thursday. It's an anniversary stream. I think we're gonna have a special guest on. We're doing Raiders again. Raiders of the Lost Ark again. So
okay.
All right.
Of course, guys, if you like watching streaming gaming, Green Lion Girl still does her videos. I think she's on Wednesdays and Fridays. Check her out. Let's see. Friday I will be doing and I'm assuming you're with me on Friday, right?
I'm there. Yep.
We'll be doing it's October starting, so I'm titling it Halloween. What is it, like Halloween's coming or something like that? But
Halloweenies. No, I
yeah,
don't know.
Halloween's. But it'll be a very general Halloween themed. I'll be talking about some of the Mego toys, some of what I've been doing with that. Maybe a little bit more of the Hellraiser talk and some other talk about the future of horror films coming up. And start planning the rest of the month of October. Maybe we'll do a few rewatches this month.
Cool.
Saturday over on Netter's Network, her rewatch is the classic film Arsenic and Old Lace.
That's a good one for October, Halloween time. Yeah.
Yep, I think so too. And that brings us around to next week for next installment of Geeky Geezers.
All right. Cool beans. And Return of the Living Geezers. Oh, that's funny.
Return of the Living Geezers.
I like that. Okay.
I may use that in one of the coming weeks.
Yeah. All right. Catch y'all later.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.